Snyder, Bill, and you.
You're listening to the Doug Stanhope Podcast.
Be on Jeff Ross's podcast at some point.
What's his podcast?
It's Thick Skin with Jeff Ross.
Oh, he's got a real theme there.
Yeah, it's about how to not be a pussy, kind of. And
I can't talk about that.
What?
Well, how could he talk about it if he can't talk about it? We're
That
recording.
was the whole thing. You tried to get him right off. Got some more hot sauce.
What are we talking about?
Well, Chad's about to tell a story, and I go, you know what? It was when my phone wouldn't work. None of our phones would work because the monsoon must have.
It was a
blown
fabulous time in Bisbee.
Hey, this the podcast today. We have a guest, actually, like an actual guest promoting a thing. And it's Julie Seabaugh. We call her Seabubbles. Julie Seabaugh is on the podcast eventually.
I haven't heard that name for a while.
Seabubbles?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
Everyone
Captain
here is.
Seabubbles at one point. I guess I got demoted at some point.
We shorten it. You don't want to talk too much about you.
I understand. Good thing I came all the way down here from L.A.
No, I'm saying if I'm talking about... Anyway. Yeah, I had a situation that I'll talk about eventually. But after I talked you off the ledge, the next day I'm going, I need you to talk me off the ledge because I'm about to fucking snap. But yeah, I gotta...
I'm not sure that works both ways. I think I might encourage you if you call me to talk you off.
I have a chainsaw.
Yeah, you're right 100%. Fuck that.
It worked out that way. Where I was just like, anyway. After you left here last.
Yeah, I had to call Stanhope. Well, yeah, okay. Well, I will start. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to start this story because I'm having to leave out important details. Not because I'm a pussy so much as because I'm lazy.
Well, I don't want those problems at the house.
That helped me. As soon as you told me that, again, that helped me. I don't think about every aspect of it, so that helped me a lot. So I left
sober. I mean, sober enough to drive.
Yeah, I was fine. Enough for the motorcycle ride to be fun. And
like most times, I'd say more often than not, when we do the podcast, you have a 40 or 30-minute drive home.
Yeah.
And so you usually end up crashing and leaving at 6 a.m. It's kind of par for the course. But this time I was surprised that
we finished
left
up early. Yeah, we were done early, and then I had shit to do, so I was going to go home. So I was headed back on the highway, and it's an open highway.
Back road highway.
Speed limit is like 65, but I usually do 80 to 85 or so average. If you can see if there's anybody else on the road. So I'm coming up, and there's some traffic up ahead, and I see two of them are motorcycles, and they peel off to pass a slow-moving car about the same time that it's convenient for me to peel off behind them and pass along with them, and then I pull back in behind them around the car, except then they slowed back down to like 65, 70, and I was still trying to do 80, 85. So I turned my blinker on and got around the side of them and passed them. And I gave them the nod on the way by, hey, how's it going? And all of a sudden, the guy far on the inside hauls ass up and blocks me from being able to pass. And he's pushing me, and I'm looking at him. I'm putting my hands up, like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm getting all pissed off talking about it.
Breathe, just breathe.
So... This is why I can't carry weapons. I would have, he pushed me to about 95 and I was in the wrong lane and he was riding the line and wouldn't let me back over. And, if I would have had a gun on me, I definitely would have shot him or at least his bike.
Nunchucks.
Whenever a car was coming and I finally had to get over, his buddy then zipped up past me, and I wanted to just kick him off the side, kick him into oncoming traffic.
Yeah. Or call it last thing he sees.
I was still... you talk about the nunchucks, I'll deviate for a second. They had for a long time, you see those leather
Like
rope
a
things
whip.
that hang from the sides of motorcycles, and I always wondered what it was. So once I got a motorcycle, I looked it up, and it's called a get back whip, and they're like $30, and it's a leather braided thing with a quick release, and at the end of it is filled with lead. So if somebody pisses you off, you can just unclick it, whip it, and just keep going because they're disposable.
I'll deviate because I think it's on iBang website. They have the viral videos and fun, stupid news. And there was one where a biker was pissed off at a car and tried to kick the car and knocked himself off the fucking bike.
Yeah. I wanted to kick that guy, but I didn't, probably for those reasons. But for the most part, I was still really confused. I didn't know exactly what was going on. But then by the time that guy
biker
pissed me,
etiquette to do that.
not as far as I'm concerned, it's not. I was following every legal rule that you're supposed to follow. I'll get into that, but
I know you do. I know the hand thing
so-
where everyone waves low and you're like, I don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not friends just because we ride the same kind of fucking.
But we do that in Bisbee when we drive by neighbors. I mean, even if we don't know them, we wave and then we know when they're a dick.
Well, that's because they're neighbors, not because they're on the same.
this is it's a
form of
false
transportation.
brotherhood that, we all have.
Volkswagens all know each other.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, everybody who drives a fucking
fact.
Toyota doesn't fucking wave to each
Subarus.
other. But,
Adopted kid on board.
so then I get back and they're both in front of me again, riding side by side in the lane. And now I'm not confused anymore. Now I want to fucking murder someone. So I'm just fucking gun it. And I'm trying to run straight up the middle of them. But they won't let me. I'm pushing them now. I push them to about 95 and they won't let me up. And so I turn my blinker on and I'm screaming at him. I'm
To the right, to pull over.
Oh yeah. Turn my blinker on to pull to the right and I'm waving my free arm. Pull over, fucking puss. I don't remember what I'm saying. I'm screaming at the top of my
They
lungs.
probably couldn't
Ain't
hear
shit.
it.
Of course not, but they could see me. If I would have swerved hard, I could have hit their rear tires probably. I was pushing right up into the back of them. And, so I pull over. I pull over and jump off the bike because I realize they're not pulling over because I have a motorcycle club. I figure, right, they're not gonna take that kind of shit from me. And, I run out into the middle of the highway and I'm fucking putting my arms up in the air and waving them back. About that time, I look over to the right and there's a lady who had broke down or was pulled over otherwise on the side of the road who's just scared shitless.
Can't leave. Yeah. Why do you pick here?
I immediately go to default and do you need help now? No, I'm fine.
Diplomat.
And then I explain her, I was talking to those motorcycle guys. They cut me off. And she's, just leave me alone, dude.
Yeah. Don't care. I got my own problem.
So what
Got
is
it.
involved?
I
I didn't see anything. Just let me live.
So, I guess, and what I wanted to do was call them out, but like you said, we don't need that kind of trouble. And I don't have problems with motorcycle clubs. So what I found out is that apparently, and I think it usually applies only to other motorcycle clubs, but it's disrespectful to pass like a outlaw motorcycle club. But
Even for like an ambulance?
So here's what I want to say is like a PSA. I don't have a problem with motorcycle clubs, but here's the thing. Those are your made up rules. You can't enforce made up rules on civilians. And if you do if I go to the park and there's nerds LARPing, none of them try to convince me that if they hit me with a foam sword that I have to pretend to be dead.
Look how red his neck is.
So maybe
Look at his-
bring your motorcycle club coolness up to the level of nerds LARPing in the park is what I'm trying to say. And if you do try to enforce your fucking egotistic, ridiculous fucking don't pass me rules on civilians, be man enough to pull the fuck over and fight about it on the
Enforce
side of
it.
the road like retards.
Enforce that rule.
You fucking idiots. Anyways.
I just love the fact that you said I looked it up as though you have some encyclopedia de biker
Wiki bike.
of biker rules.
Well, actually, I called my cousin because I wasn't familiar with the club.
All right.
And my cousin knows all that stuff, and he's like, well, I've only seen them on documentaries, man. Don't fuck around with those guys.
Sons of Anarchy.
They didn't come back.
Yeah, not these guys. Those guys are not outlaws.
It was the Sons of Anarchy. We can release that now.
Yeah. And their show got canceled. So
What denotes an outlaw club from a non-outlaw club? From a sanctioned?
That is a good question. And
I
I
think it was just
no. There
is a difference?
is a distinction, right? The Hell's Angels are an outlaw club. They call them 1%er clubs. They're the guys who are organized crime of gang members, or at least used to be. Now I don't know
What about
exactly
Dykes on Bikes?
what it is, but
legal? Not legal.
well,
Hey, I did look this up at Motorcycle Club Riding Club Education. Just so everyone knows, miss 3 meetings, you're out of the club.
3 meetings? I had a dentist appointment. It was a knockout.
Spike's rules.
I have a story that I won't tell, but it's not even bad. But it's a local guy that had a patch cut off for missing a thing, and
yeah, most motorcycle clubs are like just groups of regular dudes who want to ride together, and they have ego problems, and they want to be in a club, and it makes you feel better. The outlaws, like I said, are the ones that are actually doing gangster shit. This club I looked up, and they definitely they do gangster shit.
They're not the ones working security at Altamont.
Less bake sales, more meth sales.
Exactly.
We should combine the two. One brownie, you're up all night.
I think they still call it crank in their world. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But,
What if they were what if they were doing one of those initiations where they're gonna jump you if you like gangs that if you, they'll drive around without their headlights on, and then if you flash your lights
That's
at them,
an urban
then
legend.
they jump you and they kill you. What if they were gonna kill you?
that would have been so great.
you don't know.
Oh, you guys
Chad very
haven't.
well.
You guys haven't
Let's
met.
introduce Julie Seabubbles. I'm gonna have to not use Seabubbles because we're promoting your book, Seabaugh.
Yeah, that would not come up so much
Yeah.
on Google searches.
Seabaugh.
That's the
Seabaugh.
Well, the book is called Ringside at Roast Battle, and that's what you're promoting.
We'll get to that.
I met Chad at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yep.
And I knew who he was from the podcast, and he kind of,
From his voice.
lived up to everything I envisioned him to be. Polite, yet intimidating. Good to have around.
Informative after he's cut off in traffic.
He's like a baboon. Like you can tell when he's getting angry because his neck gets red. It's like
Yeah, that's a...
Somehow aware but retarded at the same exact time.
Yeah.
You can catch a tennis ball in a coma.
You were on your best behavior in LA. Was it? Have you only been once, or did we go twice?
Twice.
But we went that one time when you sprung for rooms over at the Standard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then the second time is when you were there and you guys took all your shirts off with posing next to the
Yeah, that was
the
at the
Italian
Standard.
models.
Yeah.
I just found that picture. That's why I remember that.
We didn't look that bad.
It would not look any better today, I'll tell you that much.
It's a hotel on the Sunset Strip where all the pretty people go, and
We did
we're
it to
sitting
be
there,
ironic.
slobs, day drinking, odd drinks.
Hey, are cutoffs cool in the pool? And then you've got like Italian models. Like
Yeah.
you guys are all posing
In those,
pictures.
in those,
Oh,
in
yeah,
those
yeah.
special swim pants that they wear so slightly. Julie Seabubbles.
Don't Google it.
You should have
Seabaugh.
put it
Hello.
like Bingo put out a book, and she had to put Amy Bingham in, but she put Amy Bingo Bingham in. You should have put Julie Seabubbles Seabaugh.
I mean, that's a bit more of a narrow marketplace that knows me. I think it's all, 12 of you sitting in the room. Who's aware.
yeah.
And the Bretchels who aren't here.
And you cut your profits by bringing us copies of your book because we would have I bought your book last night. I pre-ordered, or is it? I ordered it. It's out now.
Yes, it is. Yes. It came out for the 5th anniversary of Roast Battle, which was July 23rd.
Roast Battle, which we'll get into, is it's not just the Comedy Central show, which I didn't know what the book was about because you didn't send me a copy ahead of time, which is a red flag. Hey, I got to promote my book. God forbid they read it first.
I did not expect you to read it in a million years, so I was going
I'm
to save
definitely
that shipping
read it.
cost.
But I knew the Comedy Central, so I thought it was about like 5 years of that show. And then I looked it up. It's only been on Comedy Central for 3 seasons, short seasons. And Comedy Central is just not on my radar as a channel. I do. Nathan For You is fantastic. I can't pitch
Which is
that
over
enough.
now.
They didn't get picked up.
Yeah.
Someone
It turned out
Done.
to be too funny.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's why, and Tosh.0 I have on. That's fucking great. Build up a whole list in your DVR, and on a hungover Sunday, just watch people getting kicked in the nuts over and over again, and Tosh is great. But other than that, like, those are DVR'd. Comedy Central is like MTV to a music lover. It's just, no, it's not on the fucking radar.
Yeah, I don't even really myself watch Roast Battle on it because it's hard to.
Well, they did Roast Battle. The only time I've never seen it at the Comedy Store.
Nah.
Didn't they do it at Just for Laughs a couple years ago? And they recorded it and they packaged it for consumption in North America, and it seemed like someone from Comedy Central packaged it for consumption in North America. All the teeth were gone.
Ggreg Chaille, for the record, and we're gonna come up.
You don't have
We'll
to
bring
say
up
this.
a couple things about Chaille. Chaille hates Roast Battle, and you had a great comparison last night, where it just makes him uncomfortable.
Is roast battle for
It's
people?
like a rap battle. Sorry, what'd you say?
Is roast battle for people without mamas?
A large portion of them.
That's good.
But Chaille's just uncomfortable with rap battles for other
But it's fucking
demographic
huge.
reasons.
It's huge. It totally is
It's
huge.
but and I've never got up there. But when I've been at the Comedy Store, they do it in the belly room, which
Tuesday
is
nights.
the smallest room in the Comedy Store. Which I've never seen more electric comedy than what's going on in there now. You have fucking Kill Tony and the
Kill Tony's in the main room, but
now
Yeah.
it is. But I saw
Yeah.
it up there. It's just this small black box. It's everything that I love about a perfect comedy room.
120 capacity.
I saw Rogan there, just where they're doing one of those. All right, we're gonna yell out a premise at you, and you talk about it.
That's
and you just
Hinchcliffe's,
riff.
or that's Jeremiah Watkins' stand up on the spot. Shout out to that's what he
There
was.
you go.
That's what
I
Rogan
think
was
it
doing.
bears mentioning that
Yeah.
if you didn't know that the Roast Battle was going on at the Comedy Store and you just went to the Comedy Store, you wouldn't even know there was a third room. It's upstairs. It's tucked away. It looks like an 80s dance club, like above like a Chinese restaurant. It's like, it's
tiny.
It's just,
What's it hold, like
it's just like
80
this
people?
The footprint is so
One-
small.
120, yeah.
Yeah. It's all wrapped around. And isn't there a black and white checker stage?
It's all black.
80s. Like,
yeah,
it definitely
with, with the
screams-
curtain,
yeah.
black curtain. I mean, the genesis of the show is that it was a shitty open mic. It wasn't even on the calendar. It was just somewhere, for the store development comics to do. I think the only other option at that time was like the potluck on Mondays. So
Still going on.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
still going strong. And the host Brian Moses, just kind of wanted as a fuck around room. And then one night, these two comics, it was Kenny Lyon and Josh Martin, got into a fist fight in the back of this open mic because Kenny Lyon was underage and Josh Martin was a door guy and he was trying to kick him out. And Kenny's like, "Fuck you! I'm going to be 21 on Wednesday. I'm going to come beat your ass." And Moses, as the host, was like, "Don't fight each other. There's cameras. We'll get in trouble. Come back in a week and your comics use your words, roast each other."
Can you imagine if this had happened with Rogan and Mencia? He might still have a career.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be using other people's roast jokes.
Yeah.
He could have charged $17 at the Fort Huachuca. Plus a drink.
But yeah, eventually, they came back and everybody, it wasn't great. They didn't really have fully formed jokes, from what
one
I
was
understand.
underage and one's a door guy.
Yeah. And it was a shitty open mic. But everyone else was like, "Hey, I want to try that." And they started getting in judges. And about 6 months into it, Jeff Ross was invited up to be a judge. And, he's the roast master general from all the Comedy Central roasts. And he kind of fell in love with it and asked Brian Moses and the other guy who was running at the time, Rel Battle, how he could help. And he kind of devised some rules. You know, you had to write original material only. You had to hug at the end. And he kind of gave it a structure and a format so it wasn't just two people yelling "fuck you" and "fuck your mom" and "you suck" and "you're not funny."
Because that happens in the parking lot all the time.
I wanted to.
That's with the valet.
I wanted to get into our own personal history first, but I think we're already in the fucking roast battle.
Order isn't unimportant. We can.
Yeah, it's fine because I have a bunch of questions. Like,
One thing I want to say is that most of, if not all, of the door staff are comedians at the Comedy Store.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's not just like they put the dishwasher against the valet guy to try and be funny. There's some history there. I mean, fucking Mark Maron was a
Kinnison.
yeah,
Kinnison was a
I
good
think
guy.
all of them now.
No, they still are.
Yeah.
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 No,
Oh yeah, and the bartender.
Do you
wanna
watch
put-
that show, I'm Dying Up Here, which is based loosely on the history of the Comedy Store?
Very loosely. I mean, it's based on the book of the same name from the late 70s that William Knopfadosser or whatever the fuck his
he's
name
been down
is.
here.
Yeah.
He has.
Oh, well, fuck
He's
him.
been on the podcast.
Are you thinking of Cliff? Cliff Nestor?
No.
No.
Oh,
Really?
wait, no.
yeah, that's exactly who you're thinking of.
Oh,
Probably.
fuck.
Oh,
Cliff
wait,
Nestor.
no. Cliff Bubbles Nestor?
Yeah. Lake
You're thinking of
Lake
Cliff
Bubbles.
Nesterov, right?
Cliff Lake Nubble.
Yeah.
The
that's-
William Knopfler officer has got to be like 60
Oh, well, they're
or
both
something.
unpronounceable last names,
Yeah.
so and they both wrote books about.
Yeah. Well, Cliff was
70s
Cliff
comedy.
was more recently. He was like 2 years ago. The
All right.
skinny guy with the hat.
Yeah,
Right?
I guess so.
Nestor.
Glasses.
You just
Nesterov.
described
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Doug's taking that as
Yeah.
he's correct when just because they both
I think
wrote,
that I
have
think that I've said on this podcast that other guy that show is based on was on our podcast, but it's another guy.
It's a
that wrote-
40-year difference. But
get
sure,
credit for
sure.
I don't know.
Cliff's book was the comedians with the, what was it called? Rapscallions and I don't remember.
and he
what-
did a show for Vice, didn't he?
which I think never ran.
Yeah, well, ran here. We saw it
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, another Chuck Chaille under the bus. Oh wait, no. This is the opposite. Sorry.
Oh.
Is it my
I'm Chuck
birthday?
Are you on the hood now?
Driving the bus.
No, Hennigan told me that you for years thought Chaille hated you.
Oh yeah. Well,
Which
Oh, that's common.
that's
well, yeah, that's what he told me.
You're not special.
Aw.
that's what Hennigan told you.
No, he told me Chaille does act like he hates everyone.
Come across. He doesn't
right.
act like it. He comes
Thank you, Doug.
across.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just imagine it was some sort of, sensitive, trying to protect your inner child or something and not let people get too close or whatever.
Oh,
but
so you
that's
blamed
sort of the,
him for hating you.
No, I hang around a lot of comedians. I know how they are. And so people hanging around comedians probably have that same mentality. Also, Inman hated me too. That was a whole.
All right. Hey, Chad, let me borrow your knife.
Actually,
Give me your,
everyone now that I think
me
about
your,
it was kind of mean when we
give me
first
your
met.
handlebar whip. I want to.
Maybe it's you. Okay,
Everyone
maybe
was-
you're
yeah.
just sensitive.
I think Becker was kind of mean to me too.
I
first
wasn't
time.
mean. I remember I was very clever.
Clever,
Remembers.
clever.
I think it was like the Las Vegas Comedy Festival.
Okay, no,
It was the desert.
It was the Death Valley party.
You were like sky.
This is where we
fishing.
get
Sky
back
fishing.
to
I love
Yeah.
that picture.
sky fishing for Raven.
This was our
Becker on the middle of the highway in Death Valley on a fucking chaise lounge with a fishing pole and a giant helium balloon with a rat trap attached with a sardine as bait. Flying this giant helium
American
balloon
dream.
through the desert, tripping on fucking mescaline at fucking
Don't have a
5:30
fishing
in the morning.
permit. Don't have a desert permit. Don't have a sitting permit.
When I read that in your book, I stopped reading and read it 6 more times because it's one of the most perfect things I've ever heard in my life.
What are you doing, Becker? Sky fishing for Raven.
Seems so right.
Hell yeah.
So,
All right, we're at.
hold on.
let's-
Cliff Nesterov wrote The Comedians, Drunks, Thieves, Scoundrels, and the History of Comedy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
It was like 2016, right?
Hey, 20-minute mark, dummy. I just got this to a nice fucking place.
25. So
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Because now we can go back into Death Valley and the history of Julie Seabaugh. And then at the end, I'll get back into Roast Battle, and it'll seem like we put effort into this.
we do our production meetings on the air.
Super professional.
Please hold cocktails!
Cock.
Football. Football season again. That means the shit talking begins on Twitter. You know I gamble. I gamble with my bookie. Don't know who you gamble with. You still betting with a guy you gotta call on a payphone? You gotta get paid meeting him at some skeezy bar. Some kid on a bicycle shows up with a brown bag full of crumpled ones.
I just imagine a guy like actually going, no, I'm old school. I only do it on a payphone.
Yeah, unless you're Sean Rouse and you plan to die before some gorilla comes and breaks your femur. Remember, who you bet on is just as important as who you bet with. That's why I use my bookie. I'm not hanging around at Sid's grinder house.
You got any
You
change?
can't use that payphone. I'm waiting for a call.
Come on, man. I gotta call my PO. No, this is a business line.
My bookie, I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's been good to me. That's their copy. I'd recommend you to fucking that guy with the... if that's all I had. But we live in a new age. You can bet using the internet. It's simple. It's easy. My bookie has in-game live betting, the most rewarding perks in the business for you. And they have this is great that you can bet on fantasy, because we just got vaguely into fantasy. You can bet over-unders on your fantasy players' points. There's just so
I don't
many
know how that
ways.
even works. Hey, you know what I just noticed? I gave Kenny my account, and he made some bets last night, and he's already up.
Yeah, I bet baseball.
That's what he bet last night. I think he bet the Diamondbacks.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I bet against streaks in baseball. That's how I do it, because baseball is such a 60-40 sport. If you see a losing team that's won 5 in a row and they're playing a winning team that's lost 3 in a row, bet against the streak. And I've done well. You don't have to bet like Artie Lang or Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods to make it fun. You don't need 10 grand. You need money on the game. If you're going to talk shit to me on Twitter.
Anything on the game.
Yeah.
Qualifies. Yeah.
I bet, and especially as we're coming into the beginning of NFL, the first few weeks, you have no idea. So I will parlay money line bets. So I'll have this is my opening weekend, all good dogs go to heaven card. You parlay on the money line. This is a 3-teamer. Jags plus 370, Jets plus 235, and the Bills plus 240. And I forget what that pays, but it aggregates when
you don't have to. It's all right there.
Yeah, you can pick some dogs, put them in a parlay, and put a $3 bet that if all 3 dogs win can pay $600 and something dollars. And that's the time to do it, is at the beginning of the season. I have lots of schemes that have kept me in comedy.
And you can get right down into preseason, NFL preseason right now, and do betting on mybookie.ag.
Even better place to bet dogs. Dogs on the money line.
Yeah.
Trust me. My bookie, you can't talk shit if you don't play. Don't give me shit. I told you so on Twitter. Show me the betting receipt. If you think you're so smart, go to my bookie. Put a couple of bucks on it.
Show the results. Screenshot it. And Kenny will be playing for the Doug Stanhope podcast. He's
we're gonna have Kenny do.
It's always fun to watch him get.
If there is a system
Nail
in
biter.
gambling, it's bet against Kenny. So every week.
We should announce his weekend bets.
Yeah.
For the Wednesday show, so that when it drops on Wednesday, everyone knows who not to bet on.
Yeah.
I got to put more money in
His
this.
sponge cold lock of the week.
Sponge cold lock of the week. I like it. Hey, join now and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code Stanhope to activate the offer.
Visit MyBookie today. That's MyBookie. If you really have to have someone spell MyBookie for you, I guess a lot of idiots would spell bookie with a Y. I don't know.
Don't forget that .ag. And of course, you need to use that promo code Stanhope.
MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid. Blue Apron, delivered right to your door. What'd you eat this week, Ggreg Chaille?
Fuck. I still got two to cook.
Well, there was one that you made drunk.
I do it drunk all the time.
I know, but I remember we were eating it up here because you stumbled down to eat it and you go, that's another great thing about Blue Apron that they don't put in their copy. It's so simple.
Drunk friendly, for sure.
So, that hammered, you could still figure out how to put it together.
The only way it would be safer is if they gave me an easy bake oven. Because I still have to handle a knife and something hotter than a light bulb. When we get done with whatever we're doing here in the Funhouse, I'll go down there because there's more than Tracy and I can eat in one serving. So there's always extra, and they've changed some of their packaging. They're slimming it down, like making it more efficient. And the ingredients always come pre-measured. You're not searching for stuff. You're not looking to order. Where's the cumin? We just got furikake again on a udon noodle thing. It was really good. It was, this is what I did last week. We did udon noodles, like a ramen. It was a ramen, but they were cold ramen noodles. And I didn't know that until it was like, oh, take them off the stove and then ice them down. And I'm like, fuck this. I like hot ramen. But I followed directions. It was fucking good, man. And
they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. And that's the beauty of it is all the directions are right there in the, it's like a 8.5 by 11 card.
They tried it first.
Someone
it's not like
did.
they're sending out and going, here.
Hey, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Actually, they do want to know what you think because they send you a follow-up email and, hey, rate your recipes. So they know what's clicking and what's not. So, but the great thing right now is that they're still sending out, grilling options. So you can do cheeseburgers, and they got seared chicken with tangy barbecue sauce, stuff like that. It's still grilling time. I think the last.
Oh, it's still grilling time for a few months for us. I forget that there's people that are starting to get
getting
snow
ready to put jackets
August.
on. They've been sending out ears of corn. So they're sending out different recipes.
That's how fresh it is?
That's how fresh. No, there's a lot of different recipes that call for like frying up some corn. Like you never cook the corn in the pot. It's like you get a knife and shear it off there, and then they got you roasting it. It's really great. And it's stuff that I use now. I use that skill when I cook for my lady.
What's the greatest recipe you've ever had in your entire life? Hang on, let's listen to Bert Kreischer's last podcast. Everything is the best thing he's ever eaten in his life.
My mom's spaghetti, but that's not going to happen. What I do is I separate the recipes when they come in, and I've got a binder. And on one side, I put all the stuff that like, I'm stealing this. I'm writing this in my own cookbook for my kids. And then on the other side is everything else. So, and then now you can rate it. And so they know what to send you and what not to send you.
Good.
Yeah. It's great. I love it. They're one of our longest sponsors. And thank you everyone for supporting Blue Apron because you supporting them helps them support us. And that keeps the podcast on the air.
And it keeps us full when we're drunk. No matter how drunk we are, we can always eat Blue Apron to help sober up. It doesn't work, but you try.
If we get drunk tonight, I got a good one. It's tostadas.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
you'd even eat that.
All right, so check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free. That's a lot of meals.
You should say that over.
So check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free at blueapron.com/Stanhope. That's blueapron.com/Stanhope to get your first 3 meals free. Period. Blue Apron. It's a better way to cook.
Leading the witness.
All right.
I think she should come in by
It's sort
saying,
of
Tails.
We do so little, or we did so little production. We're trying to do more and make these podcasts not fucking scrambled like they used to be. And so what?
I don't know where this comes from. I mean, just because you're all higgly-piggly grabbing at shit here, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I don't think you're aware of.
Oh, I don't know what
My
you
world,
do to
my
it
universe.
After. All right, I'm
You know?
sorry, Chaille.
I gotta be angry at people. I gotta construct like scenarios where I'm mad all the time. I mean, I got so much on my
People think
plate.
he's hated. He's busy taking on motorcycle gangs, then Googling it.
For all I know, Chaille edits these podcasts into morning radio going, "Aruga! Hey, it's 5:15 a.m. Where's Doug Stanhope? Here he is already talking." Blah, 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 blah.
Everything we say is out of context. We look like ass. It would explain a lot of the tweets I get. I don't understand what you're talking about.
When it turns out you just don't remember talking
Yeah,
on a
I don't
microphone
remember anything at all.
or ever listening to it. Yeah. I just push it.
Chaille's sitting in a dark room down there on Black Knob,
Those guys.
going, "Oh, you think you got made fun of me? I'm making fun of you."
How is that punchline going to sound with a little cowbell?
Tracy's in the back going, more cowbell.
To be fair, the earlier podcasts were pretty unlistenable. I stopped for a
Oh,
while.
yeah, we know that.
This is why I hate you.
Oh.
No, Hennigan was like, start a podcast. And I'm like, oh, cool, I'll listen. Nope, I can't. No. But
No.
it's good now. And it's all because of Chaille, because he's a good person and likes
You know,
people.
that is interesting because I just went on Audio Boom, which is our partner. They do our advertising and stuff like that. I went back to check to see that you could actually go back and listen to the first one with Andy Andrus, because we talk about it sometimes. And Goose Kirk, he was locked up down in South America. And they're all available on Audio Boom. When we moved over to Audio Boom 2 years ago, they moved everything over. And I was worried because sometimes stuff just it's not there. Like Soccer Marmalade. All of those, they're 14 episodes. That's Hennigan and Brett Erickson. All those are
Soccer.
gone. They're all gone because they were on a server that they stopped paying the money. So I went back and checked. But I have not listened, but I will go back and listen. And, we've, had some advancements in, what we do post-production.
Did I say unlistenable? I meant riveting. Check them all out.
What, you know what? For all the crazy fans that I have folders for in my email, why doesn't one of you just come up with like a best of list or a, like, what are we, like 260 podcasts?
273 is this one. Plus, we've got, we were over 300 with all the 10-minute podcasts, 30 Days in the Hole, and you started a short-lived, rant at, what's his name?
Oh, the 8-year-old kid?
We had the 8-year-old kid. And
I
then Harvey, something.
Point being, rather than send these fucking repeated crazy emails about what your life is like and all this horrible, just sit down and listen to all the podcasts and rank them for me.
Are you trying to make bingo work?
Well, I'll tell you, the number one still to this day is Fat Mike, the first time when he called in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the number one.
I mean, most important one is obviously the cliffhanger part
That's the
1
one
and 2.
I always hear the most of.
That's like 13 and 14.
Except for one person. I always hear that their episodes are the best from one person.
Oh, yeah. But, the cliffhanger was Whiskey and Nowhere, and that was in between.
Not much topping
suicide.
that.
Yeah.
Well, nobody commits around
Not
here.
yet. Right.
It's early. It's still light out.
Some of us are still young.
Julie Seabaugh, before the Death Valley party, you were born in Missouri. This is what I was getting to. I said, and
Yes.
Born in
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't ever.
ever the time. Oh.
Thanks for mentioning that. I was born on a farm in Missouri. I
didn't
know.
know. You did some
So
research.
you were a farmer's daughter?
I am a farmer's daughter. It sucked ass. I had 4 channels, didn't know what comedy was until college, and Dave Attell came and did a show, And that's how I fell in love with comedy. Thanks for mentioning that.
All right. No, I had it in my notes. I didn't know why I had to mention Missouri.
Because I think that it shows a bit of character.
All right. Well, then
It is a
That
show
I,
me state.
Okay, well then we'll get back to that. Look, this is me making notes and there. Now this will work in with that because that's later after that. Let's get back.
I'm just saying I'm not like fat back on the farm having 4 kids like everybody else I know. You know, and look how far I've come in the meantime.
Parents, happy
That's
sad.
good.
You could fit this into my fucking format. I formatted a thing when you came to the Death Valley party, somewhat invited. You kind of won what's the Charlie and the Golden Ticket kind of
Willy
Willy
Wonka.
Wonka? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
I
yeah.
had to try to think. Well, what happened was
We needed we having one of the years of the party in Death Valley.
2007.
Hold on a
2007.
Ooh, near the end.
Yes.
Tracy's first year.
Tracy's first too. Gay cousin Eric got shanghaied at the airport, or he had a delayed flight or something. We needed to get him a ride. So I MySpaced probably in those days. I don't know. I put it out there. Anyone that will give gay cousin Eric a ride. Is this not right?
Well, as I remember it, unless you went and looked back at MySpace
No,
messaging, what I remember it being was I was on staff at Las Vegas Weekly at that time.
Oh, shit,
And
that's right.
Yo,
I
get that in the
had
notes.
previously, I'd interviewed you on the phone for something else. I think it might have been the Riverfront Times in Missouri. But we'd never
Where you're from on a
met.
farm. We'll get to it.
Yeah. But this was when you were running for the Libertarian candidacy for presidents.
So that was 2008.
Kicked off in
Well,
Darwin.
it was 2007.
That's when he kicked
yeah.
off in Darwin.
I was at that. So I was writing for Las Vegas Weekly, and Vegas, as we all know, is where Stanhope started comedy. So, given that he was also running for the Libertarian candidacy for president, I convinced the editors of Las Vegas Weekly to let me write about the party and its candidacy, and so I MySpaced Doug, and he said, yes, you can come out and cover it if you pick up Gay Cousin Eric, is
All right.
how I recall it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we were looking for a ride for gay cousin Eric because he was going to be behind the caravan. So, yeah.
But she had already Hunter S. Thompson the trip.
Pretty much, yeah. And I show up, the first time we ever met face to face was, got out of the car, parked in front of the little diner thing they had there, and they're like, Doug's in that room. So I walk around, knock on the door, you open the door, and kiss me. And that was our first, nice to meet
He
you.
thought you was
How do
gay
you do?
cousin Eric.
How do you do? And from then on,
I Me Too'd you
yeah,
the minute I met you.
Right.
I Me Too'd you.
nice to handshake, face plant, and it was all downhill from there. And it was this onslaught of scary old comic dudes. And so, and it was you were supposed to do the raping game was supposed to happen.
What was the raping game? Yeah. Just the Death Valley parties alone, the amount of Me Too's.
Tracy, do you remember?
Yeah, it was going to be a version of the dating game, but it was the raping
To
game.
see which comic could rape me was allowed to win his hand at raping me.
Who won?
Well, Hennigan won because everyone was scary.
Read the book. Read the book.
You know what? Whenever you mentioned Willy Wonka earlier, she sang a song that sounded like I have a golden ticket, but I swear she said I had to fuck a dickhead. I thought I heard that, and now it makes sense.
It might have been a Freudian. But no, you ended up putting me in there because you didn't trust me to stay with anybody else who might actually really be scary for reals.
There's a few times
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah, the other time that happened was when Bingo stayed with me and Renee. Yeah, the raping went the other way, didn't it? Sorry,
But yeah, I
Renee.
met everybody, the Beckers and the Chailles, Provenza, Glenn Wool, Bretchels, Christine was there, Henry Phillips, Matt, the little guy, what's his name? I forget. Kirshen?
The little British kid?
The little guy.
Oh my god, that's one of my favorite pictures is him in the tutu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lulu Monkey was there.
Yep.
The black guy.
I'm going to tell you,
And Guile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the black guy.
Well, yeah.
I don't remember. It was a long weekend. Lot
It
of
was, and
shit
I'm
happening.
going to be honest. I was disappointed with the article you wrote, and it's not the first time where we had a journalist come to Chalmers came to Coots in Anchorage, and it was just
Chalmers. Why do I know that name? Chalmers.
He did that British GQ where, and we got him so fucked up that when he got back, he just
Googled it. Yeah.
He wrote a story that he's like, and Stanhope says this on stage. And I'm like, that's from an old CD.
Yeah.
That's going to make me look like I'm still doing old
that act.
fucking material, but he was so fucked up. So yeah, you missed a lot of stuff.
Right.
You weren't on drugs.
Did you do peyote?
I did the little shroom. Oh, that was also when Brendan Walsh went crazy.
Oh shit!
That's when that was too.
Becker and I had to follow.
Yeah, that's when that was.
This is what I love about that. We were so afraid he wasn't going to get on the plane that when we got back to Vegas,
we shadowed him.
Becker and I were enlisted to follow him to make sure he got on the plane. So he's walking in the airport thinking that he's being followed. And me and Becker are
we're making sure he gets on the plane because of his severe paranoia.
But we're following him.
Looking through newspapers with holes in it.
We're hiding at like the gift shop or like the Daily News and like trying on hats and just like looking. And it's like, this is the worst thing we could have done.
Talking into our sleeves. You got him next? Okay, I gotta go pee.
Handoff. Go. Eagle has landed.
Cinnamon donuts. Cinnamon.
That was also after Tommy Rockers too. That with Clark Adams.
Oh,
night.
Clark Adams. Were
So
you
there was
there
a
for
lot
that show?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I met him because he was because I was trying to stand around, take notes and stuff, and I remember him coming up and talking to you.
All right.
But, yeah.
Clark Adams. It's just look up the bit about Clark Adams
Is
and
it the suicide?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It's in the piece because he killed himself immediately after.
Bridge over troubled
Oh,
water.
it is in the piece?
Yeah, him coming up and talking to you and then killing himself was in the piece. It wasn't that bad. There was a couple things wrong with it, but one of them I remember you had told me wrong. It was, you were like playing video poker and I got a straight flush or something and I might have said full house and you're like, that's wrong! And I checked the tape and it was actually what you said. The other one was
don't ever
She
tape
taped
it.
you.
I got,
You're not taping this, are you?
No, the recorder's off.
The other one was, I got the name of, No Refunds wrong.
What'd you
I
call
called
it?
it No Reservations. But,
Oh, we might have the copyright on that.
That applies.
Yeah, it was at the time.
but it was
about the Indian.
It was very
About
difficult.
suicide.
Yeah, we shelved that one. It didn't go anywhere.
I will admit, not my best piece, but it was really fucking hard to put it together in like 3 days, feeling like total garbage.
That's why I brought up drugs, because the only memories I have from the Death Valley parties are when we were tripping really hard, because that's seared into your brain forever.
This is why I've always carried a camera, not for public use, but for private. But the thing is, I have the girl's tooth before you smashed it out with the beer bottle, and then after the boobs when she pulled it up and lost her tooth. And, or when you pulled it up. Anyway, I have a series of all these photos and I go, I have a photographic memory is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, but sometimes you leave the lens cap on.
I'm out of film.
Those are both Becker open mic jokes in the day. The cock tease Kelly was wearing a tube top and I was,
As you
a
do,
tube
though.
top just dares you to pull it down. So at some point I caved into my Me Too instincts and yanked her tube top down, but I had my beer in my hand and the neck of the beer bottle smashed out her front tooth.
Was it? Yeah, it was yours. Then you went to pull it up because you went up. Anyway, I have.
No, I came down
I
to
wouldn't
get it.
correct the guy with a picture of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You wouldn't hit her
he's already
tooth
telling
pulling
you.
down unless she pulled it up and took the beer bottle.
No, I was going up to pull down like this.
This is a fucking
Put on-
Zapruder
anyway,
film?
Julie, put on-
Jesus Christ.
put
We
on
happen
a
to have
tube top
we have
for
a
a
tube top
recreation.
right here.
The point is,
There's
the Death
three of
Valley
them.
party,
Take the
this
color
is
you
one
want.
where you're in the middle of nowhere and a girl just chips the front of her tooth out. And she's very, she's
No,
got
in
her
half.
looks.
She
is
had
about all
big
she
fucking
has.
teeth like me, and it
Yeah.
took half of it out.
Yeah.
It
And we
was
all
not
just
a
stand there
chip.
staring at her going,
That's fine.
blowjobs are out.
I forgot what the point was.
Something about you on a
Memories,
farm in
memories.
Missouri.
Yeah,
So
no.
Julie spends, that's how we meet her. She drives gay cousin Eric out. We spend those days at the Death Valley party. And then I think we went back for a photo shoot I had that picture on my bathroom wall till I just redid the bathroom.
That was
And now
Ben Purvis.
Johnny Smith photography. I have two
Ben
of his
Purvis.
pictures up.
Who is now at Entertainment Weekly, I think? Ben Purvis. Yeah.
Okay. I was giving a shout out to the guy whose pictures are now on the wall.
Oh.
But I had that cover photo. So that's how we met. Cut to San Diego, Ocean Beach, Winston's, and Sean Rouse was there. Hannigan was there. Shawcroft was there. Shawcroft, by the way, let me just, because this doesn't fit in anywhere. I heard Hannigan told me about Shawcroft hammered at the Comedy Store recently.
I was there.
I know.
How long ago was this?
I'm going to call it 3 months, maybe.
Okay.
You want
And
that?
he's doing his set, and Shawcroft is pickled. Shawcroft
Who's
is
doing his
Dave
set?
Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle's
okay.
on stage. Shawcroft, the old Witter Hedberg, as I love to
It
call
was
her.
in the original room at about 1 a.m. And he's,
So was she.
she had some people from Canada with her. They look kind of scummy. I did not know who they were.
They
Nobody.
get free health care.
I had never seen them.
Was this before Chappelle
But not
did
beauticians.
was it before he did his whole week of shows up in the belly room? Was he working up to it?
It was after that.
It was after that.
Yeah.
So he's just hanging
It's
out
just-
at
yeah.
1
Because he
o'clock?
taped those for specials, and those
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out around.
Oh, that's right. They came out January 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So basically, he was talking about Me Too and how women deserve it and all that, and she's just starting to go off.
That's
in the
taken out of
audience.
context, I'm sure.
That's long story short to summarize. Yeah, but Lynn just starts, first she's sitting at her table. Chappelle's like looking around. Okay, lady, calm down. What?
You don't know what love is.
Gonna say the exact same thing. You don't even know what love it.
That's the running catchphrase of Shawcroft, because it always comes to that at some point.
That's how she hails a cab.
Yeah. And she starts standing up to do this and getting louder and more belligerent, and he can't see who it is. Like he can't.
Like it would
He
matter.
doesn't know it's Mitch Hedberg's widow.
But would it matter?
But- no, it didn't, and that's
Behavior is normal. For
precisely
people.
which is why the Comedy Store guys start circling her to remove her from the premises. And I go over and I'm like, hey, guys, just so you know, that's like Lynn Schroeder, Mitch Hedberg's wedding. I know she's not like, but I'm going to take her out for a cigarette if that's okay. So I take her outside. I'm like, Lynn, are you okay? Are you all right? First I asked her and she's like, Chappelle knows me. He knows it's funny. It's okay. I'm like, he can't fucking see you. He does it. And she goes back in again. And eventually, the table's removed. I tried, that was the last time I saw Lynn. She's doing great, apparently.
She is. I've talked to her.
She basically said, "I'm helping."
I'm making it a better show.
Well, first of all, as
make it a-
a performer, there is no darker stage as far as the comic. To be on stage in the OR, you can see fucking nothing. You're in the brightest lights like an interrogation room, and you can't see. The whole crowd could walk out on you, and you're up there going, why is no one laughing? It's just empty seats.
Why'd you make it
Fucking
sound like a
staff
towel?
is left.
That was based for.
Why is no one laughing? What am I playing to empty chairs here?
That's where we did the End of the World podcast.
No.
That was the main room.
That's the main room.
Oh shit! Oh, this whole time I'm thinking, all right. So
Let's
the main
get back
room.
to San Diego.
No, I just want to make sure that. So
I have too many notes here. I knew I had too much shit.
she did that there.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
With Dave Chappelle, it's not like a big name.
Not at 1 o'clock in the morning.
But just a really interesting, like, oh man, all my worlds are coming together here. And it was also after a really good roast battle too, so I was
You're like Zelig. You're
Feeling
everywhere you're
kinda-
supposed to be.
all 2 rooms of the Comedy Store.
I'm getting back to you getting bitten by Sean Rouse and falling in love because of it.
San Diego.
Those are
San
kinda
Diego.
sort of unrelated.
No, that was all the same night. We went back to that. There's a great dog hotel, which I wish I knew the name so I could plug them.
Is it the one we stayed at?
It's the Dog Beach and Ocean Beach, and they have a dog-friendly hotel where you're wet, filthy fucking...
You did a Winston.
sea-stained... Yeah,
Winston's?
Winston's,
Okay.
yeah. So we're staying at this shitty motel. It's a great motel, but it's like, yeah, if you don't mind the smell of wet dogs and sea salt.
Shit, I remember that.
And we're all fucking hammered. It's walking distance from the club. So you go, oh, we should drink more just to take advantage of walking distance.
And get a dog.
Every time I stayed there without the dogs, I felt like I was cheating on my dogs. Like, they're going to smell this motel on me.
Really? Without us?
So I remember that night. I don't know if it's the same night as you with the pizza box. We told that story.
It's not. That was at Costa Mesa.
Okay. So Rouse's, I remember him just throwing full beer cans at me. He couldn't get to me to bite me, but he did get to you.
You guys are having a meeting of some sorts in the other room and you kicked him out. So you made him come into I was staying with gay cousin Eric because he was there too. And you made him come into my room. And he slept on the floor and bit me and woke up screaming. But the actual...
Gay cousin Eric bit you?
No, you made Sean Rouse.
Oh, come in with
yeah,
gay cousin
you kept
Eric.
him out of the room where the adults were staying. But what led to
Twice
all of
bitten,
that...
once shy.
Put him in the room with all the biteable people.
We were in the-
Go bite them.
We were the kids' table. But there was a bit leading up to all of this.
Go ahead. What led up to it? We'll shut
So
up.
there was okay, so when was Death Valley would have been spring of 2007. And then you came and did Brant Tobler's Vegas backyard show.
Yeah, that's in my book.
In
Which you haven't
early
read.
2008.
Yeah.
I read that. I read the good one. I didn't read the bad one. So we
That's why I hate you.
So we but if you remember that, you and I went out after that and went to the Double Down and then went to that place where you tried comedy originally, which was what?
It used to be called the Escape Lounge 2. At that
Yeah.
point, I think it had a gay bar name, but wasn't a gay bar. It was like Rumors or something.
Yeah, something like that.
You were driving way too drunk.
I was
know that.
super drunk.
Yeah, but I kept telling you shouldn't while you did.
But we were both, it was Vegas, whatever. I live here. Fuck off. Who cares? So there was that, and then Montreal of that year, which would have been July. So spring, and then July. You came up and did Just for Spite, and I was up there with Brian Bruner.
All right.
And that was the time where you had thought everyone still stayed in the Delta, but everyone had moved on to the Hyatt. And we were staying at the Delta because we were broke. And you and I were like running up and down the halls on luggage. I was like pushing on a luggage cart. And you kept, I don't remember exactly. Like, oh, it was, Bruno had a girl in the room. So you came and like, it took me to your room, and that was the one night that almost something maybe would have happened, but you passed out. That was the one. So that's when I had to go back and break up Brian Bruner's party, but that was the one. And then after that was,
I know another night.
Oh, there was? Memphis or Chattanooga?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
I think
was
it was
my
Kansas
brother
City.
there?
No, that's when you were too drunk. Well, dancing leads to drinking, but
There's not a chance in hell I
It
was
was-
dancing.
it was after you and Hennigan had just split up, and you showed up at
Oh yeah,
some
this is
show.
way after. We're still like
Yeah,
in the
I know.
lead up here.
But I was saying I have a similar story. I'll get to it.
Oh. Okay. So we're still in the pre-Hennigan narrative here.
Well, it was in the Hennigan about to happen era in the Sean Rouse story, but go ahead. I want to hear stories I don't remember about Me Too. Me Too.
Then after that was, I want to say September, because I was leaving Vegas. So it was probably September 2008, and you were in, I think, Chattanooga? Or Memphis or something? A comedy on Broadway, maybe?
All right.
And I went to that, because I was back with my parents in Missouri and hated everything on my way back to going to New York again. So I basically remember all you had with you for your entire trip was like a toothbrush. I'm like, that's fucking weird. But whatever. I was glad you let me crash with you because I was super drunk. Should not have been driving, and you let me crash in your bed in the hotel
And that's
room.
all that happened. That's the truth, Your Honor. I swear, that's all.
We'll
That
make
is-
something up.
Yeah, well,
Do we get it?
The one time that you were drunk, and I'm getting
One
ahead of
time.
myself, that you came to some show where I was, and you had just had a breakup, and like, now I'll show you my tits. Sure, I will now. And I'm like, oh, and that's when I un-me-too'd you. Like, I go, yeah, this could turn into something, but yeah, she's way too drunk and doing this out of spite.
Yeah, I don't think any of that was accurate.
Well,
Welcome to the podcast.
well, I have, I've said, hey, you got to show me your tits. Show me your tits for 1,000,000 years. And that time you're like, I don't care. I'll do it now. I'll do it. And I go, yeah, once she shows me, yeah, again,
But that
dancing leads to drinking.
I'd already been talking to Hennigan at that point, though, because we'd been texting ever since Death Valley. And then the show you were talking about earlier that you're trying to shoehorn in, the Winston's one, happened after the one I was just talking about, which was the first time I did hook up with Hennigan.
I thought the first time I knew you hooked up with Hennigan was after he looked it up. It's Oceanside Villa was the motel.
Right down the street from Winston. It was just
And right up the street.
Where dogs meet dogs.
But that would have been late 2008, according to...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well,
But Doug was trying to make it happen earlier.
I remember we were at Winston's and then we went to that motel, and in the morning we all went to a smoothie place down the road, and you two were sitting together and you had consummated your relationship.
That would have been
you ate drive-through.
late 2008.
Which is not the same night as the night before with Sean Rouse biting you? I thought it was all the same night. You weren't at Oceanside twice.
I was, though. I went to Winston's twice.
Oh,
We
but
did
you know what?
Winston's a couple
This is a
times.
fucking issue. Here we go. You go to all my fucking shows for free like you're entitled, and I hate it. I tell Hennigan all the time, like, no, fucking, I don't like you at my shows because you're a really, you're a comedy snob
Yes.
that doesn't do comedy, and I hate it, and I hate your presence there because I think I'm being judged all the
You
time.
are.
Yes.
You
and
pay-
you get in all the time anyway. And I tell Hennigan, no, she fucking pays. You buy a ticket. You don't get into a fucking sold. I tell my fans, how many times have I said it on this podcast? Sold out means sold out. Yet somehow, because she fucked my manager a lot and was married to him, she gets in.
She basically fucked Hennigan for general admission.
Green room privileges where you get off stage and you feel good about yourself, and she's sitting there with that smug look on her face. I hate it.
I mean, they're going to let me in the Comedy Store anyway, so you can't really do much about that.
In the Comedy Store?
But,
yeah, you're not getting in the fucking seat if it's sold out, and you're not getting in the goddamn green room unless I invite you.
I don't want to be in the green
You never
room anyway.
showed me your tits. You should have shown me your goddamn tits that night when you were drunk.
You had your chance.
I got you a fucking ride out of there so you didn't drive.
I guess your dick should have been as big as Hennigan's, and then at some point you could have had
It's the fucking huge cock
better
crew.
deal. It's pretty large.
Yeah, I know. We're surrounded. Well, thank God
I
Shawnee
love
Rouse is dead.
how it totally deflected. Like, I'm going to get off this and talk about Hennigan's dick.
No, I get into whatever. I get into shit for
No, I
free.
get it.
I can't.
Okay,
you know,
let's
you're not
start
special.
our contentious part of this. Right after that, the Death Valley, that story, you were so dead set on writing a book about Hedberg.
Oh yeah.
This goes good. Don't worry.
I had been writing about comedy professionally for 4 years. Mitch Hedberg was my
And now we get back to, it was Dave Attell that got you started in your interest.
The Missouri farm
I'm
girl.
fucking doing this. I'm making segues by yelling at you.
but they're all out of order.
No, that's why I'm fucking having to fucking yell at you.
Okay. So what? Attell? So I'm from a farm in Missouri.
You and your journalistic instincts.
Jesus Christ.
All right. I
What?
did skip a part.
What the hell?
After whatever year it was, one of the many nights that you got in for free, you fucked Hennigan, and then you became a married item.
Okay, so now we're in 2009.
Okay. Let me just skip. Let me make this unnatural. Say, you fucked Hennigan. We went and had smoothies, and then you got married, and the next thing you know, you are at a barn dance in Missouri, where you're from. See? What? Do you remember he had to go? You had to take Hennigan.
Oh, Hennigan. Well, yeah, you had to meet the parents.
Yeah, the guy you were married to.
Jesus, fuck. Well, you started in on that Hedberg stuff, which was 2007, and now you're back in 2009
I know.
again.
I said I forgot a part.
Oh, my God.
This is what happens when I try to structure a podcast with 5 people.
You should always add the point to your question.
Oh, yeah, what's the question? Yes, barn dance.
We've been being quiet. Don't blame this shit on us.
We're confused, too.
Becker left. He's so bored. Becker's gone.
At any point, he could be interviewing me or you, Chad, because we're all fucking flummoxed.
You married the Hennigan.
2009, yes.
Okay, and at some point, when you brought up Missouri, this is why I was going to try to wait till now.
Oh, I see.
Because Hennigan, you are from a small town in Missouri. You've brought that up, a little farm town. But Hennigan, which is the premise of a movie, Hennigan, the biggest smart fuck magazine, snobby, I don't want to be around those kind of people.
Well, the thing about
that's in
Hennigan,
Coach.
I mean, Hennigan also, and this is kind of a reason why I think we got along. He's also super poor and from the sticks in Scotland. Like, his house growing up didn't have a phone in it. And
well, he's 70 years old.
He had a man that when you told him something, he ran to the next village and told them.
So he had kind of a, I don't know if I would describe what he has as like an inferiority complex, but he like has to prove that he's worthy of carving his place out in the world and doing shit and blah, blah, blah.
Don't we all?
I just want to interject. This will be the only podcast Hennigan has ever listened to of mine because he wants to know what you're going to say behind his back.
And the name of it will be, she said what?
I'm sure he's not happy so far.
He did listen to one because he said they were shit earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming he was just guessing and saying that.
No, he's got his own humble beginnings, for sure. So basically at whatever point, I guess it was about 6 or 8 months after the nuptials, which happened here in old, Bisbee, stayed at the Shady Dell. And then we played, and then I caught footballs the next day, and I was really good at it. I remember that.
Was that with Gabe?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let's not get too off subject.
Yeah. So basically made him go to Missouri and meet the folks, and there was, a barn, party. There was a bonfire. There was a hayride where you, hitch wagons up to a tractor, fill them up with hay, and then you ride around in the cornfields and soybean fields.
I don't know if
I saw this movie. You're a witch.
If you don't, know Hennigan, and you should, if you listen to the podcast, Hennigan being at a fucking barn raising in rural Missouri. Do you want to, what's the town? Let's give a shout out.
It's outside of Cape Girardeau, which is, about 2 hours south of St. Louis.
It's not the same town as Derek, right? He's like from
Furley
or
Fergus.
He's from about an hour north.
Furley.
Right.
I was from.
So you never bought drugs from him?
No, I was from more near the Arkansas border. So it's like
I think worldwide that gives someone an image. Just saying Arkansas border.
The boonies.
Yeah.
The sticks.
But he held up. From what I know,
I think it was. I mean, we were probably there maybe 3 or 4 days and drunk the entire time. I myself don't remember much about it, other than trying to get through.
Your
and
Mennonite cousins, how did they?
I was
Lutheran.
I was expecting some great Hennigan story. You led me up to the fact that he held up at the barn party.
So every year, do they still hold Hennigan days?
Hennigan gets drunk and starts slapping you.
Well,
he does me.
It wasn't the most exotic person anyone down there has ever seen in their entire lives. Not a lot brown or black. But man, when he came tearing through with that accent, it was like, oh.
Oh, I wasn't thinking of them judging him. I was thinking of him judging them.
And I'm sure he does. I'm sure in his long-awaited novel about himself, he'll refer to it. But this is where you wanted to talk about being from Missouri, because you have a fantastic story about it. I'm trying to cut through the segues, and we'll eventually get back to Roast Battle, the book that she's trying to promote.
You've said this same segue, I swear to God, 17 fucking times, though.
I mean, I just wanted to mention that, like...
You got out.
That is the gist of it, yes. And I'm not, that's actually one thing Hennigan would say, is that he's proud of me probably for not being 400 pounds like all my relatives and having 4 children, and, respects me for that massive accomplishment.
And you became a comedy writer.
Yes.
Because of David Tell. Hennigan tells me this. Because you've been a journalist for how long?
15 years in January. It was.
I talked to him last night. I go, tell me some fucking hot button points about Julie Seabaugh. Oh, I want to tell you this.
Bore her with non sequiturs.
Hang on.
I kind of don't believe this. I don't know.
I'll tell you.
Ooh, Mr. Stanhope, I have a question.
He's raising his hand.
It seems like we kind of glossed over the fact you were a farm girl in Missouri. You saw David Tell, you fell in love with comedy, and then all of a sudden you're a writer in Las Vegas.
Which is where I'm going.
Please. Let the court record show that Ggreg has acquiesced the stand for Mr. Stanhope.
No one is going to be able to follow this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this the Ggreg Chaille podcast?
No, you went into like her relationships now. How did you get off the farm? Did you go to college?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Chaille, thank you for asking. I went to the
Maybe
University
we should
of Missouri.
have fucking meetings before these podcasts.
I think that's a good idea.
But I think it's interesting that like you ended up worming your way into the desert party in Panamint, but how did you get to Vegas? You went to school, I assume?
Here's my notes. You go fucking
These are all
read off
very
them.
valid, well asked and researched questions. I went to University of Missouri, which is about 4 hours away from the farm, Columbia, Missouri. And I was in the journalism school, and I was writing about film and music stuff. And that's when Intel came, did a show. And I got to interview him beforehand on the phone and then go backstage. Yeah, I went backstage, Doug.
Show your tits.
I have those perks.
That's how she learned not to.
This was also the height.
David Tell is the guy that will talk you out of fucking him.
This was the height of Insomniac. So everybody, so we went to the bar across the street, and everyone was sending him all these Jaeger shots. And it was like me and 2 other journalism friends that drug him over there, and he was like giving all these Jaeger shots to us. And I woke up on my friend Dan's bathroom floor the next morning, puking, and just, there's something about this comedy thing. I like this a lot. It's better than film and music, and I'm going to start writing about it. Because nobody was writing about it at that point in like a real critical way. Not critical with the negative connotations, but from a point, context and history and what it means for society. It was just getting shoved in with like the calendar listings and music stuff 15 years ago. So, I graduated a couple months later and moved to New York and was there for 3 years. And then I got picked up, by at the time it was the, Village Voice media chain when alt weeklies were still a thing.
Village Voice is an area in New York, but they have a bunch of
it was a paper there, and it was a whole chain. It was about 12.5 alt weeklies across the country.
Wow.
So there's one in St. Louis and, Nashville, Seattle, whatever,
Phoenix.
Everywhere. Yes. Phoenix New Times. Thank you. They picked me up. I got a 6-month thing, that I did for them back in St. Louis. And then from there, I was in Vegas starting in late 2006. The desert party was spring of 2007. And now we're all caught up. All right.
You have a very linear mind. I appreciate that your stories are all very linear.
I I'm feeling sorry for anyone listening to this because it was a bunch of.
Well,
How about the guy editing it?
It'd
It'd be hard to beat in a bar bet.
it gives this context. Where I was going, Hennigan also told me when I called him that you have a really huge beef with how media portrays movies, TV portray female journalists. And he said that would get you really wired up.
Okay, so now
I
I
was
do
trying to
believe
get
that
to
you
it
talked to him
organically.
because this only happened this week.
This week is all that matters.
I guess. I mean, everything in journalism sucks these days. The portrayal of it is one of the least of the worries. And there was a big article in the, I want to say, Guardian this week, which is why we were talking about it, about how, why is it in all the TV shows now that all the female journalists sleep with everybody to get a story? And why are they always, trying to sell out coverage to get something else?
Isn't it great we held back?
I don't know. I haven't even seen Hennigan for like a year. He's been in Vegas with his new girlfriend.
You've been
He's
sleeping with
behind
leads for news stories.
He's behind the times himself.
Somebody listens to this podcast.
But it's not like I ever got anything from. Free shows are not enough to sell oneself out, I guess. No, just, I don't know, what, the Devil Wears Prada.
Who's the most important person you sleep with to get a story? Seinfeld?
No, I wouldn't. I don't.
Yakov
Are there-
Smirnoff?
Well, what are my
Depends on what
options?
kind of car
Andy
Seinfeld
Dick.
is driving.
I have no interest in writing stories about any of those people.
So you started out writing for Village Voice News, but then you went on to write books again. We glossed over the Hedberg thing. I'm writing it without you. I don't care. That's we had a point of contention, and then you went on. You wrote. Is that out yet? You wrote the Kinnison thing.
Oh, that's still on and off for not out. Well, yeah, the Hedberg thing was. I also met Lynn at the Desert Party. 2007, and was a huge Hedberg fan. He was like pretty much it for me.
How did you get into Hedberg? Was the tour you went on that you saw at Tell, was it with Lewis Black and Hedberg?
That was one of them.
Yes.
But I knew him before that. He had also, he was always just around, and he had,
In New York days?
yeah, he wasn't my New York days, not his New York days, but he was always there anyway.
What about his movie?
After
Was that
that.
part? Oh,
After that.
okay.
Because the movie was 99, right?
That was Minnesota, though. They filmed it.
It was about 4 years after that. But he was always popping in places, and he opened the show, I remember, for Mike Birbiglia's first CD release party at Stanhope, New York. I was just hanging around for that, and I hung out with him at Montreal 2004. Yeah, that was the last time before he died. Hung out with him in Montreal. So I knew him-ish. So I thought, yeah, somebody should write a book about him after he died. The clouds parted and the light shone on me. It was supposed to be me, in my 4 years of experience. It's like, why would Lynn not want me to write a book about Mitch Hedberg? I wanted to, and
But
she
you
put
went on to do more stuff.
Yeah, she put the kibosh on it, whatever. It's still there. I haven't trashed it or anything.
Nothing's been written.
There's stuff been written. But yeah, from there, went on, did the Las Vegas Weekly thing, back to New York, then I was in LA, back to New York again, and now I've been in LA for 4 years, and I've written for places, like Rolling Stone, The Hollywood Reporter, and GQ.
I didn't want you to have to give your resume. I was just wondering about, because Hennigan gave me copy of the Kinnison thing on a plane.
Yes.
You should read this. And I was drinking on Xanax. My eyes are not going to focus. Let's just cut to roast battle. Let's just cut to that.
Yes, let's do so.
Let's do it more awkwardly than that.
No, let's do it that awkwardly.
Roast battle.
All right.
I just realized my notes are they go right to roast battle. And
Oh, they're disjointed?
They probably got all mixed up when you threw your notebook at Chaille.
Okay, we're at the current day again now, I guess. Here,
This is why you don't
Why?
put fucking too much effort into a podcast. It'll go like this.
For the listener, can we just take one moment? Can you give like an elevator pitch? What is Roast Battle?
right. Roast Battle is now a 5 years old live show. It's a competitive insult contest between two comedians who ideally know each other or get to know each other better in the process of writing jokes to tell in front of their peers and an audience of celebrity judges. And at the end, whoever tells the best jokes about the other person wins.
Who judges that?
It's a rotating panel, but Jeff Ross.
But you didn't say insult one time in your description, because that's why I would have used the
I
word
said the
insult.
insult-
Oh, did you?
insult
Sorry.
competition, yeah.
Nobody that
Sorry.
listens to this podcast doesn't know what fucking roast battle
Right.
is.
But not insult. The guys who can't get laid.
So,
It's
So-
we've already
it's comics
established
talking
this
trash
early.
to each other.
It's
Great.
That's
Thank
all
you.
it is.
It's
Right, there you
the
go.
biggest show, I would say, at the Comedy Store.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also a TV show.
It is now. It has done one season in the UK. It's gone across the water.
Right.
It's the biggest show ever on Comedy Central UK, which hopefully is
But the book is just about at the Comedy Store, right?
well, it's basically how that accidental show from the first fist fight at the open mic 5 years later is now a TV version that's had 3 seasons on Comedy Central, and there's a Mexican version, and there's a South African version, and the UK one you were talking about, which was, the most watched series on
So
UK.
we got The Office, they got this.
Sweet.
But the live show still happens every Tuesday.
That's
And it's still the original, like, rough and raw and in your face. And
Is there some kind of a lawsuit? Like comedians in cars with coffee? You know, that kid is suing Seinfeld. Oh, this is my idea. You stole it from me. Is the dishwasher or bouncer that originally was going to fight someone in a parking lot now suing, going, that was my thing?
I mean,
Go ahead.
the way
No,
that they, Brian Moses was the host, and he's like, "No, don't fight."
Is that the
battle.
same host?
Yeah,
All right.
he's
The black
still,
guy.
still. Well, there's a lot of black guys involved, but
Get
the
to
main,
that.
the referee guy, Brian
The
Moses,
MC.
Yes.
He's the MC. Yeah.
he was the
So
one.
it's the same guy.
Yeah, he was like, "Don't fight, come back." And we'll have the war of the
Diplomat.
words. Yeah, and he kind of had it be a recurring thing, and it was his original open mic anyway, so.
And yet it's called Jeff Ross's Roast
Right.
Battle.
Well, when Jeff came on as a producer, he and
Took
you
the
know-
name?
Well, he has a whole history.
Well, it makes
It's kind of
sense.
like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
It makes sense.
Chris made the steak.
He was the steak
but
guy.
Ruth was the famous one.
Look, I make signs. My name's Ruth.
It makes sense from a marketing standpoint.
Well, yeah, it's like he has a whole track record with Comedy Central and all the other roasts.
I-
So
I-
if somebody like sees his name on it, then they're gonna think,
Sure.
as they should, that it's legit.
Well, and he's involved, right? But I like that you said it started because a fight. Because whenever I started watching YouTube videos of it. Whenever I knew that you were going to come over here and we were talking about your book, and I wanted to. Has there been fights in recent? Because they get brutal as fuck on there. They get personal and brutal, and I understand they're comedians, so right, you go into that knowing that. But I mean, I haven't read your book, so I might still, right? Maybe I'm leading you into
She
a
did
story
give
from
you
your book.
4 minutes ahead of the program to read it.
You chose to drink and smoke weed.
Well, the other thing, you do understand in Mexico, it's on the Food Channel.
I do know a little bit of the background of it because I enough at the Comedy Store. Want me to talk about this?
No, I was giving him a thumbs up on that joke.
Oh no, yeah.
Because you've actually watched it, right?
I've never seen a live show,
Tracy did that one night.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I've never seen
And
it
you've never
live.
seen, yeah.
but I thought maybe this will help answer what Chad just asked. I thought they just picked names out of a hat before the show and everyone went up on stage. And I found out from Erickson that
They call each other out.
yeah, they want to battle someone and then they get together at Starbucks and talk. Where are you from?
Fun. Yeah.
Well, that's
And
why.
And then
that
they
makes
write
sense.
jokes based on the
If we
conversation.
That's where
did-
comedy comes from, not spontaneity of going,
I
You
understand.
have a big nose.
I understand.
Yeah.
If we did this on this podcast, we could do that. But I don't know any comedians like LA comedians well enough to know their proclivities and
Neither
They're
do
weak
they.
points.
They don't either.
Oh, I wanted to bring this up because Becker, I remember, and I wanted to ask you if anyone's ever gone too far or said something. Because I remember in Coots in Alaska where we trash everyone on the staff because we knew them. And one time I trashed Billy about taking Viagra
And
or
hair
having
transplants.
herpes or something.
Hair
that-
transplants.
Where I go, I thought everyone knew this.
Oh.
And then,
And he lost his mind.
no, he didn't. The crowd went silent, like, he doesn't know we know, and he went silent, and I went, oh, you touched a fucking sore subject.
Calling out a transvestite.
Doug's paying for his shots from here on
Yeah.
out.
And Mrs. Dick over here with the biggest dick, even though she has the biggest tits.
Come on.
And
Everybody
everyone's
knows
like,
she's
"What?"
the dude, right?
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 So far, my favorite part of the podcast has been where I asked Julie a question, and so far, Chaille and Stanhope have answered it.
Mansplaining roast battle to me over here.
Julie, did you see you had problems with the way female reporters are portrayed whenever?
They can't get a word in edgewise.
I'm starting to see your position.
She said that beforehand.
Feel
I
my
go, it's gonna
pain.
it's gonna be Matt Becker, Ggreg Chaille, and Chad Shank. She goes, oh great, 4 dudes and me.
I ain't scared of you. To answer your question, it was usually kind of unlike what Matt Becker was talking about. Matt, as we all, in the room here, like it's more than just saying you're fat, you're ugly, you suck, and that in the earlier days is what the jokes used to be, and was kind of when things did go too far because it was more aggressive and actually wanting to kill somebody else, and less about the jokes. There was also a rule earlier on, because it's a very, very diverse show. It's not just a bunch of good-looking white dudes. It's all kinds of people. The white battlers could drop in 1 N-word apiece to their battles.
This is before they filmed
That,
it, right?
yeah, that was
Jesse,
very
is
early.
that the Jesse Jackson rule?
That's
Did
an
he?
interesting
Yeah.
This is back when you and Hennigan were texting.
It was a very, very early rule. The story I heard was, Leslie Jones, who was like their first ever celebrity judge right before she got SNL, was having none of that.
Yeah.
She, one of the, house haters, who kind of badmouths everyone.
That's not a role like the guys who jump around and they irritate you.
The wave. You're thinking the
House
wave.
hater is
Yeah.
not like a designated, you're the house hater.
There's been different ones, but it's, only in the room. It's not something you're going to see on the TV show. But he basically
but they do.
yeah.
Oh, so it's designated.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Earl Skakel at the time. Now it's a guy who.
No, that's just a guy who sits off in the chair and gets to insult whoever
Yes.
in the room. Right?
Yeah, they had that. It was called On the Muppets. It was
Right.
in that balcony.
Yeah, on the balcony. Yeah, the two dudes.
I just watched the videos. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to clarify what you guys
Yeah.
are saying. That's how. That's
And he was, he originally based it on Tommy Morris from the Comedy Store, the old talent coordinator, who was, alleged to be racist. No one, knows for sure. But, yeah,
would later
basically
become
he,
president.
He got fired
He had
for
to-
saying Richard Pryor, that coon will never make it anywhere.
he's not around anymore for reasons. But yeah, basically Earl, kind of quote unquote smoothed it over by going and like making out with Leslie Jones. It was a whole bit. Yeah, but that
Me
rule,
and
that
Mr.
rule,
Jones.
that rule's not around anymore.
Hey,
so
meet
much.
you that lady. She'll love it.
Yeah. But there's all kinds, there's, my favorite battle ever was, between this guy, Joe Urell, who was born with cerebral palsy and he's in a wheelchair. He's got like, little balled up
You
hands
say
and he
born
slurs
with it
and
as though he might have got it sexually transmitted
or to a raffle.
he was asking for it.
or just made a choice.
who decided to have cerebral palsy for comedic purposes. Yeah.
Good luck with the Rubik's Cube.
Julie Seabaugh just got the best joke of us all.
Who, what did I say?
I deleted it. I bleeped it.
Don't listen back to find out.
I don't know.
He decided to have.
I think
Oh, yeah.
You still have 2 N-words
It's his
left.
hook. It's his hook.
we're spotting you one.
You can have mine.
Ooh, that's up to 3.
You would have, Chad, you would have been a good fucking roast battle.
No, that's why I asked that question, is because I understand that everybody knows exactly what's going on, but they also know how to hit each other's spots that hurt to win. And I also know from being around comedians and stuff that they're also unstable people sometimes. So I just wondered if sometimes that became a perfect storm.
Escalated.
You
And,
couldn't ride home
know,
without almost killing somebody. I,
I mean,
can't
yeah, I'm-
imagine somebody with a microphone.
I'm looking forward to killing someone on the way home tonight.
But like the thing I liked about roast battle the most was kind of along the lines of what you're saying.
Is this back
which
to the
was-
story?
Well, yeah, I'll get, it's, that story is a good example of what I'm gonna say here. Like the first time I went up there, it was about 8 months into the show, and like Jeff had just started showing up there. And a couple comics had told me to go, you gotta check out this show, and I'm like, whatever, fuck, how many shows
See?
do I hear to see about?
Whatever.
What, I can go in the green room at any show I fucking want to go to. So, I went and went up to the room, and it was like packed and sweaty, and people are fucking chanting. And you know, when you see it for the first time, you think, oh, comedians are being mean to each other. But if you're kind of in that community
Savvy.
and understand, you understand that it's just another way of kind of equalizing yourself, and you're putting all of your negative traits and your weight issues and your STDs and the time you hit that girl and your dead parents and your suicidal thoughts, you're laying it all out there and kind of working through it on stage. And
Give it up for Richard Jenny.
and again, like
all of those things.
yeah. And that's kind of why it works best as the more diverse, the better. Like, you don't want to see 2 white dudes doing that. You know what I mean? So, and the example I was going to use of Joe Urell, who, you know, contracted cerebral palsy to be funnier, was,
Allegedly.
you're right.
Marketing genius.
My favorite battle I ever saw was him and a Vietnamese transgender lesbian. So it's a transgender woman named Robin Tran, who was just on the latest season 3, battling somebody else. But she's great, and like I'm opening my book here as an example of like some of the jokes they told, like Robin saying, "Joe, I hate how people always bring up your wheelchair and your voice and your disease. No one ever brings up how annoying you are." And Joe answers, "Robin's unemployed, so it's a good thing she doesn't have to buy tampons." Because she's a transgender woman, see? And they just continue on like
Is
this.
the name of your book You Had to Be There?
I'm not, pretending to be a comedian.
No.
But,
That was my roast.
Let's have Chad read.
you want to read this? So,
Chad.
start right there at that one. You're the voice.
Oh, I'm reading this? Yeah. There are a lot of things Joe can't hold. Like a microphone, or his liquor, or the arms of a woman who actually loves him. My limbs are straighter than you'll ever be. Robin wants to be an actress, but she doesn't even portray a convincing woman. Yeah, I'm transgender, and I still use my dick more than you do. Thank you, Joy Tut Club. Robin is so fat, the only thing bigger than her shadow is her 5 o'clock shadow. That's pretty good.
No, it's very good. See,
As an example-
you should actually maybe do the book, because then it doesn't seem mean. It just sounds scary.
Yeah, let's talk Audible for sure. But yeah, like that's a good example of like you would not normally see those 2 people headlining at the Improv, but here they're fucking gods.
Yeah.
And that's, inside baseball. That's inside. If you want to fucking know comedy, and that's why we talk openly here. I mean, the whole museum of intolerance here in the FunHouse with colored only signs and white women only signs and gay signs and John Ashcroft. This is a museum of intolerance because that's what a green room is. That's what roast battle is. That's what comedians have that other people don't have, is that right and ability to just go as dark as they can at each other away from the general public. And that's the funniest shit because we're bored with listening to what people laugh at. We see you laugh at easy stuff. We go dark. The nicest guy in the green room, I mean on stage, is back there using his one N-word card in the green room.
That's interesting. Is the room full of comedians? Is that a big part of the audience?
Yeah.
Comedians?
A few journalists.
That's a great question. Because I have a list of superlatives which I hate in an interview, but has anyone ever walked out offended at? Have you seen anyone walk out offended at what two comics are saying to each other?
I mean, I can't recall that ever happening. Mostly it's people who are standing up in their seats and chanting battle, battle, battle and screaming. And
Everybody seemed really into it in the video.
yeah, you're not wondering I'll see what's happening at the Comedy Store today. Roast battle? That sounds like a fun time. Nobody's doing that. They know what they're getting into.
But there are jokes in roast battle that they're doing at each other that if you just said it alone to an audience, someone would get offended. But if it's two comics, they understand this must be okay. I guess it's all right.
Yeah, there's one person in the room that's allowed to get offended. That's the guy on stage.
Right. And even as somebody who's just watching from the audience, I love the fact that, as we proved here today, I'm not a comedian, but I love the fact that they're saying stuff that I recognize in myself. Like, everybody on earth hates shit about themselves or what they've done. And Roast Battle's really good about just showing, hey, we've all got shit. We're all human beings. Just fucking laugh at it and don't be offended.
Right. But also that's the thing is like all the people that go to space are astronauts, but the people who get them there are not. It doesn't mean you can't watch comedy and still give a clear description of what happened.
That was a compliment, right?
Yeah. Doug, I think what you were
There's only one race, the comedy race.
what you're talking about is that whole mentality is what we brought up in 269, Roseanne's green room mentality. Is that you see someone on stage and they're battling and you're like, oh, that guy must fucking hate him. And they go back in the green room and it gets darker and sicker. It's because there's this whole mentality backstage that comics understand. They don't even have to talk about it. The people that get offended are the non-comics that are in the green room who should get the fuck out.
Yeah, all of you straight, tight-ass fucking people that think this is offensive, when your mother is killed in a car accident, try to get some audio tape of what the EMTs and cops are saying about her gruesomely deformed corpse.
Couldn't find the head forever. I didn't think to look under the tire.
That's all you have to fall back on is gallows humor. And that's putting it on stage and fucking with. I want to ask you, I have a list of superlatives, but let me start with who is your number one roaster? Like, who would you be the most afraid of? Me, it would be Patrice O'Neill. Who would you...
Wait, to roast me? If I was being roasted?
If they knew everything about you.
Jesus. Well, see, I mean,
Norton would be one. Norton can fucking find your weak spots.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not like the person per se or the relationship I have with them or
but I'm saying, who's
who's the best at roasting.
How to just hamstring you.
I mean, you're saying these are all great people. Dead Patrice, sure, I'm sure is funny.
You killed everybody.
He's a lot easier to roast.
No, but I'm saying, like, who are
Too
the
sugary.
people that...
You didn't get one of the early legs.
I mean, Brett,
Jeselnik, I think, is the best.
Brutal.
Even on Twitter, he's like Mr. Too Soon. As soon as something happens, he's there just like, oh, fuck. He's a judge for season 3. As he rightly should be.
I watched, the fucking Walsh and Todd Barry.
Yeah, that one wasn't that great.
I know, but it fit the theme. No, it was not.
Yeah,
but it
she's
fit
honest.
the theme of their Twitter battles, which is what they were feeding on. and they were both very nervous. But Todd Barry is one of those guys that when I fuck with him on Twitter, I think, I hope he doesn't take it seriously, and he probably does. But they know. Yeah, you don't go there. Walsh has a bunch of shit that you go, yeah, don't go there with Walsh. But you already did with his mental breakdown in fucking Death Valley. But fuck him. I know him.
I didn't realize that was private information. No, Walsh, I was kind of sort of sad with Walsh's performance on that. I thought he could have definitely hit Todd a lot harder. But again, it was like for Comedy Central, and you gotta be whatever.
I hate to say this, Walsh, I wrote some of those jokes for him and they died.
All right, so we know who's not good at writing roast jokes.
The one that I remember is, women who've slept with Todd Barry have a hashtag. It's called #MeEw.
But see, here, this is a perfect example. You're a great comedian, whatever, sure. But
allegedly.
Jesus, that leads into my next question. I have a question.
You can,
never get. Hey,
everyone, shut up. She has a good point.
Hey, listen. If you ever do roast battle, don't go to a guy who's retired for your jokes.
But you could reuse that joke. It's not a Todd Barry specific joke. You could use that for anybody, and that's why it died. It has to be a very specific, like, why are women so ooh about Todd Barry?
Well, he tried to pile on with another joke. I'm not going to defend my joke. My joke was strong.
No, it was good.
It's kind of derivative of
It was a good start.
They were set. He didn't sell it. You got to be a salesman. No coffee for fucking Brendan Walsh. He's not a closer.
But I have another question. Yes. Julie, have you ever done any stand-up comedy?
No, I have not. I always liked writing first. Hence, I was like doing the music and film stuff, but didn't really discover comedy till college. So then I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be writing about this. So the writing came first. Never interested in doing the onstage thing.
I asked Brian Hennigan last night on my pre-interview, trying to get some dirt on you, and I said,
I know exactly.
Because you said in your text message, I got into comedy because of David Tell, and I said, she didn't do comedy, did she? He goes, oh no, she's not one of those.
Oh, you mean Julie DeBergerac Seabaugh?
Well, I mean, a lot of times you'll see these days so-called comedians covering allegedly comedy for different blogs and websites and stuff. And I mean, hello, that's a fucking conflict of interest. You can't be a comedian writing about another comedian with any sense of objectivity. And I don't.
Sense, I guess.
I forgot what the exact question was.
If you
but
were
no,
a
I
friend,
haven't.
I'd shit on you right
Well,
Do you know the person that wrote the article that said you can make $150,000 a year?
Yeah, I do
doing
actually.
Open mics?
I know exactly who wrote that.
That was the greatest article ever. You want to talk about the next wave of Me Too? It'll all be young girls going, I'm funny, right? You go, yeah, but take your shirt off.
I don't want to talk about him because he gives me money for writing for the Hollywood Reporter.
Okay.
So yeah, he was way off base, but keep giving me stories, buddy.
I missed this.
I'm not gonna. It was the Hollywood Reporter did a comedy issue in July, and I had a piece in it. But there was also a piece about local LA comedians, what a typical week is like. And one of the things that people pounced on was that, yeah, if you're a comedian, you can make an average amount of like $25,000 a week. I was like, no. That's not, and my editor wrote that, and I'm gonna, I mean, it was a great piece. It was just a little, poorly researched. Give me more stories. Thank you.
2,500. Yeah, not 1,000. You said 1,000, but yeah, 2,500.
I didn't actually read it.
But
just
even
doing open mics and doing
As
movies.
wrong as
What?
25,000.
Yeah.
But even that would be
Because
a
there aren't
hustle
that
out
many
of it.
comedians there working that would
Yeah.
turn down money.
There's
I didn't actually read it.
there's probably
I don't read
Becker.
I don't read a lot of comedy journalism. I don't. I don't. Do you watch a lot of comedy, Doug? Not really.
When
no.
we started comedy in the early 90s, which was off the comedy boom, quote unquote.
Right. It had started
There
falling.
was-
But
The amount of comedians out there now, when we did Phoenix even, there was what, 15 comics or something?
No, but the thing is, you got to remember, this is what I've said with everything in our society. We dummied it down kind of. If I make a card and say I'm a comedian, I'm a comedian. If I say I play violin, you hand me a violin, go ahead. And you go, oh, I can't really play it. And you go, well, that's weird. You got a fucking card that says it.
But I'm saying the amount of people that show up at open mics, 15 years, Julie. How much have you seen open mics just like a million people want to try?
Well, yeah, I mean, comedy in general, for sure, is way too fucking big now. And yeah, like Becker's saying, a lot of people are calling themselves comedians when they don't actually have 15 minutes. Or they're just putting stuff, like the internet has definitely made this second huge ass boom.
Like
possible.
like poker, online poker.
Yeah, you just put yourself out on YouTube and all of a sudden you're a comedian. It works for someone like Bo Burnham, who's actually good at what he does and tries to evolve.
I don't know.
But you're seeing a lot of like people putting sketches and their little open mic sets and saying, I'm a comedian. And have you ever earned money for doing comedy? Ever? No? Then you're not a fucking comedian. Is my takeaway on it.
Yeah. And that's what I say. If you make a living with it, you're a comedian. You're a bed house painter, but you paint houses for a living? You're a house painter. I give it to you. But
yeah, there's just way too much and it's all getting a little, I mean, what I do like about it is, there's something for every taste and you can find something you like and people are getting a bit more savvy about kind of the genres that are developing around comedy. Like you, Doug, you used to have that joke about like, you're not gonna just go see music.
Yeah.
You're good at whatever that joke was.
Yeah, you see a specific type of music, and if you just show up because you got a coupon, and you just show up and it's fucking 3 hours of bagpipes, you can't blame the band.
Yeah.
Do some more research.
Remember, I walked in to go see classical, and I get reggae. I'm not happy.
Right. So that's kind of going away a bit more in comedy, and people are like gravitating more towards their favorite quote-unquote indie bands. And developing followings for certain people. The downside of that upside is, there's a lot of garbage out there.
Is there still, this is inside comedy, is there still a term alt comedy, alternative comedy? Like that should have dissipated like new wave.
Yeah, it's called CISO.
Can't find it in a lot of places.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I think it's a bit more referring to a dated time. Well, not date. It's basically like when Todd Barry and Mark Maron were starting out at like Luna Lounge and Janine Garofalo.
Yeah, I know where it started, but do they still use it as though there's two types? There was road comedy and alt comedy.
I think it's more used to describe like how it started. Like alt comedy started there, but now it's just a bigger part of, like you would refer to Todd as someone who started with alt comedy. It's not necessarily. I'm an alt comic.
There's not a current label.
Right. It's more.
It was more of a
historic term.
It was more of a like we all hang out together and fuck those people.
The comedians of comedy.
The way I felt it.
All those guys, the Bamfords and Patton Oswalt's and
Bill Gates, if he did comedy, alt comedy.
Patton was always the he was the diplomat. He was the guy. He was nice to me, and I didn't feel uncomfortable around him.
Who'd you feel uncomfortable around?
Fucking all of them.
Blaine Cabot?
Still, Sarah Silverman.
Wow. Blanket patch.
Yeah, Blaine was cool. But just going into Luna Lounge, then you're like, oh, you're one of those road comics because you were with me.
Yeah.
We were road comics.
No, but that's
and
where
I
you got
did have a lot of road
seasons.
bits.
Yeah.
Doug Benson was another. He was nice to me, but I did his podcast and he said, yeah, the first time I worked with him, it was in Vegas when I just had met you. Mm-hmm. I went back to Vegas and he goes, yeah, we called you Doug's stand up behind your back because all your bits are just, and they were the most basic triple gig, what will make an audience laugh stand up bits. I didn't have a voice. I had a mullet.
And Jerry Lewis was huge in France. So, I mean, things evolve.
Yeah.
Like alt comedy is now kind of a term like prog rock. Where it's, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about from that time period.
Chaille.
I have a question. Yeah. This is a guy we ran into in Nashville, Doug. Southern Mama. Darren Knight.
Yeah.
Darren Knight.
Oh, yeah.
He's
First
listed,
thing I thought of.
He's listed some of his promo here on YouTube. He's a YouTube, I'm doing the air quotes comic, that did 2 sold out shows Friday and Saturday before we came in and did a one night. Doug's load-in was at 9:00 because they were sold out 2 shows before him, right? His thing on YouTube is Variety's listed 10 comics to watch for 2018. This is Southern Mama. So what's going on?
Darren Knight. Yeah. Well, that's not actually the thing that I thought you were going to say about him, which was, he was at Montreal.
That's what I heard about.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there were a lot of YouTube people, that's the other thing. What I want to know is with Darren Knight, I want to get to that because that's an abomination in my opinion. But what's the temperature of the room when someone like this guy is 10 comics to watch for 2018?
There's obviously a certain demographic he's appealing to, which is 12 and 13-year-old children who can't leave their bedroom.
Oh, the Dane Cook of the future.
Right, and they get their parents.
Shawnee Rouse hands. We used to call them jazz hands. Now they're Shawnee Rouse hands.
Ball them up a little bit more.
I mean, that type of comedian, quote unquote, can get booked at an improv because the parents are going to take their kids there. But no one's going to be like, oh, who's this? We want to go see some stand-up kind of thing. But what happened at Montreal?
Where they had the top 10. They had a whole series of comics.
It was
actual stand-up
YouTube,
comics.
No,
YouTube they were
comics.
YouTube comics.
Oh, well, that's different. That's a separate showcase where people who want to make money off of YouTube comics are going to go sign them to, like, endorsement deals.
Yeah.
It's not a stand-up showcase, really.
Becker and I, in the death days, the 90s of stand-up comedy, where they were doing the defensive driving classes just to make any money. There was the whole 90s. Once the comedy boom died and then it started back up with Chappelle in the early 2000s, they were doing anything. And that's where every flunky jumped into stand-up comedy. Every Las Vegas 15 Minutes of Fame, Tony Danza shows, all these Kato Kalins and Screech and all these people were getting into comedy.
Kid and Play.
With who?
Kid and Play.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that?
Did
Yeah.
they do stand-up?
What, the one guy,
Yeah.
the big hair
Kid.
guy.
Kid.
Kid.
Play did all right.
Play did good because he got his GED and he went and got a
I
job.
saw that on Roast Battle, where one of the ones I watched last night was on the same as Brendan Walsh and Todd Barry was some wrestler, Dolph Ziggler, who's I thought he was fucking funny. I thought he won. I thought she was like a UFC fighter. I didn't realize till after she was a comic.
Oh yeah, Sarah Tiana's like she's written for Roasts, Comedy Central Roast forever.
I found that out.
Yeah, been on
in
season
the
1 and
episode.
2.
Podcast listeners will remember Sarah Tiana from the End of the World podcast. Where
I was gonna ask.
Oh, what's
Eviscerated.
I don't remember that shit.
I'm surprised she's still alive.
I blacked that night out.
what'd you do to her?
Oh man.
No, Bill Burr just lit her up.
Oh, I was drunk that night too.
Wow.
That was the night Trump.
I think she
Such
was.
a good
Also-
podcast. That was
also-
still one of my favorite broadcasts.
Also,
of all
listeners,
time.
I think, did the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She got.
Yeah.
But they battled for season 3 because they're friends. Like, they asked Sarah who she wanted to battle, and she said him, because she could make the jokes about him not killing himself because he doesn't have a belt.
Yeah, no, it was better than Todd Barry.
It
and Brendan
was.
Walsh.
It was definitely better than Todd Barry and Brendan Walsh's one. What I was going to say about the YouTube guy, though, he, not the showcase that was for YouTube stars at Montreal, but there was a show that was the Variety 10 to watch at Montreal.
Oh.
He closed it out and bombed, and it was a huge deal where everyone was like, yeah, he shouldn't have been on the show because he's not a real comedian. It was like a very cut and dry, this has no place here.
Wait, one
kind of
bad
thing.
show, you're not a real comedian?
Well,
Check
having him-
YouTube. I'm
did-
huge.
I did a Montreal where Moon Zappa had never done comedy. And she's at Montreal just because she's Moon Zappa. She's
Right.
great. I love her. But yeah, there was a lot of that scuttlebutt. She didn't belong. It's bullshit.
Well, they've
But
had
I got a good bit
all
out
those
of it.
people are. I can't even think of who's doing these galas these days, but they're Martha Stewart had one or something. I can't remember.
Do you
I'm
go
getting it now.
to Just for Laughs every year?
I have not been the last 2 years. The previous one, I was suing Paul Chamberlain over the Crapshoot Comedy Festival and could not attend. And this year, I was at Roast Battle.
What was that?
You buried the lead.
Hang on.
And this year, I was at the Roast Battle tapings.
No. This is like an Andy Andrews story where he's like, I was cutting my lawn and the neighbor came out and then I stabbed this kid and then I go to this open mic and I go, wait, you just stopped at this. No, go back to the stab.
Go back to
It's
Burning
not that
Man.
interesting. It's not. So this guy, Paul Chamberlain, he used to have the Maui Comedy Festival that lasted 1 year. And then he moved back to Vegas because he has family in Vegas. He, last year in May, so almost a year and a half ago now, a little over a year now, had the Crapshoot Comedy Festival in downtown Vegas that he hired me to help. Like, I've been to festivals and I know Vegas very well. So I was hooking him up with media and kind of advising him. And basically the whole thing, made zero money whatsoever and he didn't pay me. So I sued him and won. And that's what I was doing during last
Is that
year's
the
Montreal.
one Burt Kreischer and Attell were at?
Attell, yeah. Attell
Burt
had,
Kreischer
yes.
came from that. Came here to do the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes!
And he talked
Yes.
so glowingly as he is wont to do.
I sued that dude for fucking me over.
Not Burt Kreischer,
No,
the other guy.
the
But
organizer, Paul Chamberlain.
he said
Chamberlain
like 70% of the shows were
L-A-I-N.
canceled.
Yes, Attell was only a third of the way full.
Yeah. He said he's
Did
never
you-
laughed harder, and Bert's not prone to
green room,
hyperbole.
green room mentality. Julie, did you get paid?
Yes, I won my case.
Oh, good.
And I got paid because I ain't scared of you people.
Yeah. That's good.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
That's,
It was.
That's
It was-
rare, and that's good.
It was
it's great that
really.
you do a job and you get paid for it. That's precedent.
Oh,
for
and not to mention everything you have to go through to fucking get your money after
yeah.
a guy.
That was fucking hard and really scary, and getting up there in front of a judge as he's standing next to me and saying what a shithead he was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But I fucking did it and I won. And I wrote a book too. It's a good year.
Let's plug that book. Go ahead.
Oh yes.
Plug the
So
book.
ringside at Roast Battle, the first 5 years of LA's Fight Club for comedians. Yeah, basically just tracing how the show went from, the accidental show at a fist fight to being all over the world just 5 years later, which doesn't happen ever in comedy.
Go to Amazon,
Amazon.
Barnes
It's on
and
Amazon.
Noble. I don't know. If
Not on
Amazon.
Barnes. It's not on Barnes.
It's
and
not.
Noble.
Amazon.
Fuck Barnes and Noble then.
They're
Troy
going under.
Conrad took photos for it. He's the house photographer at Roast Battle. He had stuff going back for the last 4 or 5 years.
He's also a comedian.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he
Set
just
list.
he's got 2 kids. All of a sudden, just when Chad Shank lost one kid,
Just discovered he has 2 daughters.
lightning crashes.
So support Troy Conrad for all his
So yeah, please
Photographic
go
and
to
child-raising endeavors.
Amazon and the Ringside at Roast Battle by Julie Seabaugh. I had a couple of things. Legendary Eats at Roast Battle, because Hennigan told me about one with Hinchcliffe where an audience member
I don't know what this is.
roasted Hinchcliffe.
He's talking about something that
Oh,
happened.
that might have been Kill Tony.
Legendary Eats? I don't know what that is.
No,
Someone who
people
just
who
ate it hard,
fucking
like just-
ate it
Oh.
hard.
Yeah.
But he said there was a night that might have been
Tony.
Kill Tony. He might be confusing things.
The only thing
Someone heckled Tony Hinchcliffe, and the fucking crowd went ballistic.
it might be referring to the Doug Fager battle. Doug's another, you have no idea who this person is by their name, and they're like an open micer, but they're a really great roast battler. He was battling somebody else and Tony was judging, and Tony's special had just come out on Netflix called One Shot, I believe, and it had done zero business. And
Good plug.
That's another thing
well, that's
Hennigan
part of
said.
the-
He's trying to coach her to talk more shit about comics. But I'm not going to
That's-
do
yeah.
that. I don't do that.
I think in the book I referred to it with dropping with a thud. And
Another tree fell in the woods.
Doug Fager's brother had died of food poisoning. So, Tony is judging Doug's battle, and Tony says something bad about Doug, and Doug says, hey, you should be nicer. My brother was the only person who watched your special. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Battle. Oh, fuck. And then quiets down again, and then Doug goes, I'm just kidding. No one saw Tony's battle. Or special. I'm just kidding. No one saw Tony's special. Which is one of those times, it's like, yeah, this guy's great, and the fact that he nailed Tony Hinchcliffe like that is something that you can kind of only see in Roast Battle.
And the other one that he brought up was Jason Rouse. And if you listen to the podcast regularly, you'll know when Sean Rouse died, I got a earnest email. Hey,
told the story about that.
About
I remember
how Jason Rouse. All right, go ahead.
For Roast Battle?
I don't know. This is
I don't
fucking.
remember this
is
either.
all Hennigan.
I
Who you left?
Oh yeah, I was gonna open the floor to Brian Hennigan questions. That never happened. That was the whole point.
We're not here. We're
right.
not gotcha journalism.
Okay, let's start that right now.
I don't know the Jason Rouse. I don't know that thing.
All right.
Doug, if we,
You know who Jason Rouse is?
Yes.
All right.
I'm supposed to
not
get
Sean
Howard.
Rouse.
No, I don't
And
know.
I also have a note about Mamu, but I don't know what that was.
I'm going
about.
and doing her show on Monday.
Oh, that's what it was.
this goes out on Wednesday. So
Oh, cool.
All right. I just realized the Mamu thing is gonna be well before this ever airs. So.
But I will be on Jeff Frost's Thick Skin podcast in the next couple weeks, and on the Roast Battle podcast. I also did some stuff in New York, which you can go back to and listen to Keith and the Girl and some other stuff.
Keith and the Girl.
Keith and the Girl.
I saw something. I think I was on your Twitter.
Who's that? Who's Keith and the Girl?
Keith and the Girl are from New York, and I saw that they're at episode 2790 or.
They're almost at 3,000 now.
Thanks
They're
for
20
narrowing
now.
it down to two people in New York.
Well, I think most people can Google.
The original podcasting pair before podcasting was called podcasting. Keith is a comic who does comedy once a year when he records his annual album.
Oh.
Him does a cool chick.
They're great.
They're
I
awesome.
Love them. They have this weird place in, I think, Brooklyn or something.
Astoria.
It's a long fucking way away from. I don't want to do it. I'm glad to be there, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to. Fuck traffic.
But yeah, they're awesome. I also did a Nikki Glazer show, and because she's a judge on season 3 and other stuff you can find, which you won't because it's boring. And this is way better.
I'm glad you drove all the way from L.A.
Ugh.
to plug your book.
I also kind of enjoy being around without Hennigan. It's a nice off-leash, dad's away for the weekend kind of thing.
He's been sober for a month.
Let's go get tattoos.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's. He goes, I'm sorry I haven't stopped down. I won't
Stop
talk
down.
about the fucking. All right.
Well, no, he's making a movie in Vegas. He's busy.
No, that was earlier. No, he doesn't. No, he was never making a movie in Vegas. And he never got robbed, and I didn't lose $16,000 because of it. And I'll tell you this off the air.
Because it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Okay.
I have a question.
I have not seen footage from that movie that does not exist.
I have pulled up the roast battle on Comedy Central, cc.com. I'm going to play one of these. I'm curious if you could come up with the one we should play. I've got Sarah Tiana and Chris Cubis.
Oh, Cubis!
Hold on.
Cubis is underrated.
I've got Roast
Or
Battle
not rated.
3, Tony Hinchcliffe versus Mike Lawrence. Or Roast Battle 2, Kurt Metzger and Yamaneek Saunders, who the last time Doug did the Bonfire podcast with Big J.
I
Okerson
walked out
and-
because of her.
Yeah.
She walked
and Dan
my room.
Soder. she got him so pissed off, and she left, and no one.
No, I left.
Oh, you left, and
Yeah, I fucking walked out of there because I was going to go fucking ballistic.
She left, and it still wasn't funny. She just got mad at you for being drunk and flashy. I don't know. So, out of those 3,
I also saw that other Mike Lawrence one on there. I would say
Sarah Tiana and
or
Mike
Mike
Lawrence?
Broussard. No, she was bad on that one. I would say Mike Lawrence versus either Broussard or
Matthew Broussard.
or what's the other? Tony? Do do Mike Lawrence and Tony.
It's Roast Battle 3. So they like,
It's timely.
no, I'm saying it's like they go, we need to redo this. Like, Hearns Hagler. They'll just keep.
What?
I feel like no matter
it's
what.
a rematch.
It's a rematch.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
Saying it's overheaded.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I gave a boxing reference to a journalist.
I feel like you've built it up too much now, no
What
matter
is that,
what.
sports? No, that's a good recent one, and they're both good. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Also, in addition to this, I would say I've looked, and I didn't watch any of these ones that were more professionally done on YouTube. If you look at the Comedy Store,
Yeah.
Roast Battle, individual comedians that are lesser known that don't get to be on TV will post their own roast battles, and there's a lot more raw roast battle shit on YouTube. Than
Like there's
these
a
ones.
recent
It's like UFC.
Yeah.
Nicole
comedy, for
Nicole Buchanan versus Jamar Neighbors for like the Belly Room title recently would be a good one if you're interested in seeing like a really crazy gritty
All right.
Belly Room battle.
I don't know.
All right, let's just wrap this shit up. Thank you, Julie Seabaugh. Her book
Bubbles.
is available.
Seabaugh.
Sea Bubbles is our nickname for her, but Julie Seabaugh, go ahead.
Get Julie's book, Ringside at Roast Battle, The First 5 Years of LA's Fight Club for Comedians, by Julie Seabaugh, available on Amazon. And I was going to get it on Kindle. She said it'll be there soon.
Yeah,
So
give me
look
about a
for
week.
it on Kindle as well. But that's also on Amazon.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you guys again and be drunk without Hennigan. I said that already.
Thanks
But
for
it's still
being
nice.
had.
It's doubly nice.
Did he hurt you? All right, that's another
Only
podcast.
with his giant penis.
They're called bagpipes, ma'am. They're called bagpipes.
We'll close this out with Roast Battle.
Mike looks like Louis C.K.'s genitals. Because he's about to get beat in front of an audience.
What a fun battle this is between two roast writers, me and who's ever helping Tony tonight. Really, man, I just can't wait to see what fat, ugly nerds you hired to call me a fat, ugly nerd. If you want to see something Tony's written all by himself, you could just go to his Wikipedia page.
Everybody knows Mike's a great writer. That's how he got the Emmy nom 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 nom. Mike wrote on the last season of Schumer's show and the last season of Crashing. He's ended more shows than Harvey Weinstein's boner.
Yeah, I am fat. I am literally twice the comic you are. Tony hosts a podcast where he mentors young comedians, giving them advice like how to get a Netflix special and how to still be cocky after Netflix takes that special down. Hey, man.
Wow.
I'm sorry. They only have room for one depressing lesbian at a time.
That's a fancy way of saying Mike's never made a special. But his parents made one 35 years ago.
Tony married an Australian woman after 1 month in Las Vegas, and you know what they say? What happens in Vegas leaves you the second she gets her green card. Hey, Tony, let me ask you, when she divorces you, is she going to flush every memory away of you clockwise instead of counterclockwise?
It's true. It's true. We are both married. My beautiful wife is right up there. Mike's wife couldn't, Mike's wife couldn't be here tonight because clearly Mike never makes her come.
Last week, they asked me to battle Tony Hinchcliffe. And ever since then, I've done nothing but think about Tony Hinchcliffe. And now I know what it's like to be Tony Hinchcliffe.
It's a damn good feeling, Mike. It's a damn good feeling.
Last joke.
This has been a lot of fun battling homeless Simpson. Mike is a huge professional wrestling fan. Even before the show tonight, I saw him throw himself through the craft service table.
Nice one, you bobblehead of a Trump son. Kevin, Tony is the Kevin Spacey of comedy. He's creepy, closeted, and Netflix has cut all ties with him.
No,
Hey,
we don't
Doug,
talk about Brett Erickson at all.
Are we recording, Doug?
Are we?
Why are we recording right now?
There's probably several things I never got to the point of. But one of the points that you obviously wanted to talk about was the Showtime series, I'm Dying Up Here, where I felt like I was dying for the first 3 episodes. And then, I was going to say Arj Barker. Fucking Mexican dude. All right.
Al Madrigal?
Eric. Oh, I was gonna say Eric Griffin.
Racist piece of shit.
Wait, Eric Griffin's Mexican?
Isn't he?
Does TV add 3 shades of dark?
I was
pretty sure he is.
I was about to say something that would I go, do I still get the 24-hour disclaimer? I'm Dying Up Here. I asked you about earlier, and then we never got to it because...
No, I think we're going to say something to the effect of, yeah, the TV show on Showtime that is very, very, very loosely based on the book of the same name, which means it's not really based on it at all. But yeah, this guy, William Noodle-Doffisker, whatever. Needles, yeah. So he was covering the comedy scene, as it were, in the late 70s during the Comedy Store strike for the LA Times, and then came out with a book later called I'm Dying Up Here, which recounted it, and now these 40 years later, after the fact that it happened, was now being made into the Showtime series. And I saw that 2 years ago, because it's now 2 seasons in. I'm like, motherfucker, this guy was like covering comedy accidentally. And now he's got this book and he's got this whole TV show deal from it. I'm like, somebody's gonna do that with goddamn Roast Battle, and I'm gonna beat him to the punch, because if anybody else does, I'm writing a Roast Battle book now for the 5th anniversary.
The moment.
Yes. As the scene is happening, and no one else is gonna have the ability, and I'm gonna get a goddamn TV show from it someday.
Actually, did you know that William Noblesetter also went to the University of Missouri?
No way! Yeah. Well, he's good again, I guess. Really? Does it say, like, the journalism school and stuff?
Well, no. I think it was home arts. Home ec.
Well, Brad Pitt went there, too. And so did Sheryl Crow.
Well,
so look at them now.
And Roast Battle was based on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Done.
Doug has a lot of questions.
Well, no, he said to give him a sign when I was done talking.
And I couldn't remember what.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's like a safe word.
Then say it, Becker.
Blue Dolphin.
That was the I'm Dying Up Here was based on the 70s. The one thing I like about it that I hated about it is the stand-up comedy was so shit, where you have to sit through scenes of people's stand-up comedy and then listen to them repeat it in the next episode, which is what stand-up comedy is. It's bullshit. You say the same shit every fucking night for a while and everyone laughs because they're a different audience. But it's garbage. And the comedy was so bad in that show, but the comedy back then was so bad. Now, when you look back at it, comedy grows. Comedy has a shelf life like hot mayonnaise on a fucking Sunday porch. It doesn't last. So Becker is the one who clued me into Woody Allen.
I was just going to say. Yeah.
Woody Allen is one of the few albums that you made me listen to back in our fucking road days, living out of your truck or my car or wherever we were.
Hugo!
No, but the thing is, his act, if you listen to it, it doesn't age. It's about
it's fantastic.
But the
Lenny
other thing
Bruce, try to listen to fucking Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, because
it makes no sense.
It was set. No, but it was set in a time. It's like saying green stamps. Hey, I was at the store and I got green stamps. That's not funny anymore. You have to evolve with it.
No, Lenny Bruce would talk in jive.
Right.
Like Airplane, the movie.
Right. The Wayans brothers.
Well, those guys were also like operating out. Like comedy wasn't a thing then. It started during the I'm Dying Up Here years was the first time comedy was actually a business. So nobody knew what the hell they were doing. So yeah, the material sucked.
No, but the thing is, like with Woody Allen, you go back and listen to it and you realize it doesn't age like his wife.
But most
That's for a different reason, I think.
Julie, what we're saying is there's very little comedy that you could go back to and laugh, including the stuff I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I grew up, I didn't know what was hack when I was a kid listening to stand-up comedy. I didn't know that's easy or hack. I laughed. And then I get into comedy and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess everyone says shit like that, and that's how you grow. But I'm Dying Up Here is the fact that they're doing shitty fucking jokes and I'm a Mexican and that means I steal car radios. Yeah, but that was what they did back then.
Yeah.
So it's authentic.
I take less offense to that, versus the fact that like they're trying to make them all tortured artists, which they were not back then. Everyone was just like doing drugs and getting laid, and there was no, but we're changing comedy. We're changing society for the better through comedy because we're all such tortured artists. That was definitely not happening back then.
No, but I think now it is.
I'm just saying that's why I don't like the show, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, comedy now has taken a turn where they're going, let's go after Trump and we can change the world. And I go, comedy is taking on you can only do Trump jokes?
Let's get back to this. I'm Dying Up Here. My mother she was the one who would say, yeah, well, if the bird chasing the coyote, he fell off the cliff, he'd be dead. She would say, okay, why doesn't anyone ever take a shit in a movie? No one ever has to stop and take a shit because it doesn't advance the plot. So yeah, if they're tortured artists and that advances the plot.
It's just an example of why comedy's too big, because you see stuff like that.
I was going to say something similar, is because if there's not a through line to the story, it's boring.
Right.
It's like, oh, comedy's big. Let's do a show about how it started at the Comedy Store that's not the Comedy Store under Mitzi Shore, who's not Mitzi Shore.
Come
Too
on,
much
that
comedy.
fucking lady who plays the pretend Mitzi Shore is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, Melissa Leo.
I would say she's right up there with Mitzi Shore.
Not the one that eventually passed me at the passed me means when you audition to be at the Comedy Store. She would be in the back of the room. She goes, "Oh God, you're like a Sam Kinison."
She would say no to some people, and others it would take
she
years.
wouldn't pass Louis
years.
C.K.
Yeah.
This is the best story. Louis C.K. when he was like the best comic before Louis the show, but when every comic recognized this guy is brilliant, he would go to the open mic. What do you call it?
Potluck.
The potluck
Monday
on Monday
night,
night at the open mic and just audition for Mitzi repeatedly. And they're like, Louis, why are you doing this? I can just talk to her. He's like, no.
He didn't get passed until like 2 years ago when the new management took over. Literally.
First pass
Literally.
And then he filmed a special there.
Yes.
Because he bought
And
the
then
company.
some other things happened. Seinfeld wasn't passed until like the same time as Louis was.
I don't know why Seinfeld would ever show his face at the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store, for you, the listener, there's always been 2 rooms. There's the Improv. Well, there's 3. There's the wastebasket of comedy, the Laugh Factory.
Michael Richards made one of them famous.
Yeah.
Infamous.
Yeah, and even Dane Cook got banned from the Laugh Factory. That's the dumpster, is the Laugh Factory. That's for rubes and tourists.
But he's now back at the store, the Improv.
Point being,
whatever.
One's for woodcutters, one's for woodworkers.
Point being.
Perfect example.
So in the 90s, in the death days, there was the Comedy Store where I got past, and it was fucking empty all the time, and it was desperate. And I got past, and then, just like every TV show I've done, it kind of got canceled as and it was just awful. And then Joe Rogan got banned after the Carlos Mencia thing. Because Carlos was selling the tickets. So whoever was in charge said, all right, we got to go with Carlos. You're banned.
Tommy Morris.
I'm guessing it was Tommy. Yeah. Tommy, little sidebar here. Tommy, I was booking comedy up at Coots, and that's when I brought Doug up, I brought Hedberg, I brought a bunch of people up in 95, right? And then when I started to continue to work booking comedy up there, at some point Tommy was calling me from the comedy store, like, oh, this is great. I'm looking at who these people are. They've got no online presence. They are not even middle acts.
In 95, there was no online
this
presence.
is in 2000,
right.
like
Go
later
ahead.
on,
Go
right?
ahead.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? He was trying to send me fucking openers so they could get material by doing 6 shows at Coots to try and
Which
fucking
is a good place to get material.
Great, but not on my watch, man. And cause I thought it would be great. Like, from the Comedy Store in Hollywood. And
it's the door guy.
But I look like,
Oh, I like it. I've heard of that.
A bit confrontational. But, it was one of those things where I took 2 seconds to go, oh, that guy's not even, he's not doing gigs anywhere. So it was one of those things where I know Tommy. That was not a good time at the Comedy Store.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's kind of a
Comedy Store, they called it.
Comedy.
Yeah, he was kind of notorious for booking people who gave him pot and
cousins from New York.
Yeah, and
there were a lot of Vinnies and Mannies, and it was what the fuck.
It was not talent based. No. The bookings.
I am looking forward now that I've suffered through. I'm dying up here for a few episodes, and then I get into it, and then I get weak again. Just like fuck. You know what? Fuck you. Better Call Saul has been this strangling fucking dying horse for 3 seasons where, I want to see Breaking Bad again. I want to see it. It's, maybe next week. Everyone's so desperate to see Breaking Bad that they don't talk shit about Better Call Saul is the biggest piece of shit, except for last week, where it finally got kind of good.
You're still a fan!
3
You're
fucking
still
seasons! Well, I don't have a lot of fucking things to do. I don't have hobbies. But I'm saying, the last episode of I'm Dying Up Here, it looks like it's getting into the Steve Lebetkin years. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that killed himself in the real story.
Yeah.
He's the guy that during the fucking strike jumped off the fucking Hyatt House, as you know from Warren Zevon's. She took me back to the Hyatt House.
Well, technically, to womansplain you, it was after the strike was over, and Mitzi said because he had been one of the striking comics, he couldn't come back. So it was like after.
Is that the hotel right next door?
Yeah.
She's a historian.
Had he lived, he'd have done the roast battle.
Oh yeah, so the point of all of that, we were trying to say the Rogan thing?
That you can't come back from that. Oh yeah? Splat!
Good closer.
That'll show Mitzi.
Your mama!
So Tommy banned Joe Rogan, but then Jeff Ross for Roast Battle brought him back for the first time in, I think, 10 years? 12 years to be a judge for Roast Battle was his first time back, I think. Was that what we were trying to say?
Well,
Wait,
if
the
Roast
dead
Battle
guy?
goes back 5 years, I was already living here. So yeah, maybe 10 years.
It was like, he got banned in, I want to say, 7 or 9?
Let me, for the
Who
listener,
banned Joe Rogan?
You can find it super easy.
for the listener, Joe Rogan, when we were doing the Man Show, he was on Fear Factor. Joe Rogan would do 14 hours of filming for Fear Factor. Come to the Man Show offices and, close the writer's room of like, hey, I think this is funny. What do you think? And he would do 2 hours of that. Then he'd go and do an hour at the Comedy Store for free. And then they fucking ban him. Like,
I just looked it up, 2007. Yeah. What was he on? Jesus Christ.
and then when the Carlos Mencia thing, I don't know who's to blame, but yeah, in the interim, when they were dead, I jumped in the void.
Why did Rogan get banned?
Because he called out Carlos Mencia for
Mencia.
stealing material on a video.
No, I saw that, but
Yeah.
then you said he got banned, and then the Carlos Mencia thing.
No,
He
got banned because of
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
should've-
why I said that.
They
And
had
that's
to
what
pick sides.
Tommy banned Rogan for saying that Joe Rogan, or for Jesus Christ, Tommy banned Joe Rogan for saying
You're a
Carlos
journalist?
Mencia.
Yeah.
I'm also drunk off
word
my
in
ass.
edgewise. But that he came back for the roast battle.
Okay.
It was his first time in 10 years.
But that's a big one. I mean, you have a book on it, basically. It's
If
in
this-
there, right?
Yes.
You concluded that? Good job.
Yeah, thank you, Matt Becker.
If there's just one bit of evidence of how bad Tommy was running that place, that would be it.
I
mean, come
concur.
on. 'Cause
But this is why I don't do free shows in fucking LA or New York. Hey, you want to do a spot? No. I'm going to come there just for my show once a year and a half. And, no, because Joe Rogan gave you shit for free and Carlos Mencia was selling tickets.
That was completely different management. And obviously, it's better in full now.
Oh, it's way better now because
Yeah.
now Doug takes all of us out to the Comedy Store. We have a great time. Doug never has to go on stage. We hang out in the VIP with Bretschels, and then we leave. No, our boss doesn't have to go on stage. It's fucking brilliant. Way
You-
better. Way better.
So you never want to judge roast
That
battle?
was my experience
gotta
as
throw a
well.
bone
That was
every once in a
nice.
while.
Hey, yes, I do. I want to
yell at
judge
it?
roast battle, and the last time I was there, they were asking me to, but I had to see, what was I seeing?
Stars?
No, downstairs there was
Brooks
some-
Brown. Brooks Brown.
Oh yeah, we had to do the podcast with Brooks Brown, one of our best podcasts ever. Now that we've actually put some effort into this podcast,
Finally, we have someone who's putting some effort into this thing.
yeah, it was
Turning this
it
shit
came
show
back.
around,
Jesus
Chaille.
Christ.
All right, this is fuck it. It's an Easter egg. No one's listening to this. show.
I thought you were going to go into the Brooks Brown thing.
Hey, listeners, if you ever meet Julie Seabaugh in person, don't say, show me your tits. We have a personal relationship that goes back. I say, show me your tits because we know each other and she doesn't. But don't think that's okay to do. Okay, there's a PSA for you.
That goes for all women, I think. Not sure, but just,
Unless they're your friends and
just
you
to
go, show me
blanket
your
it
fucking
out.
tits, whore.
Also, Brett Erickson is 6-0 at roast battle.
Brett Erickson.
Are you doing the DJ horn?
Yeah, that's what they do at roast battle.
Oh my God.
She likes it less.
Less. Even less.
Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
I was going to wrap this up. I gave you a pause there to wrap it up if this doesn't go anywhere.
There's no reason to say that.
Well, Chaille.
I can see a
Chaille.
pause on the editing device I
All
use. I can see there's a
Really?
pause. Yeah.
Wait, let's
What do
try
you
one
have
right
to-
now.
I
Do
don't.
you have the gift of the dark sciences?